Chapter 91 Is that person an I Yang? _2. Li Xianxian bashfully lowered her head, but a glint of triumphant satisfaction shone in her eyes. Since Grandma Mo had willingly brought up Mo Baichuan in front of her, it meant there was a 2% chance for their entanglement. Because the dishes I Yang prepared were so delicious, Grandma Mo ate as many as a dozen pan-fried dumplings, drinking a large bowl of porridge. Only then she put her chopsticks down. With a few dumplings left, along with half a bowl of porridge and half a plate of pork stir-fried lettuce, Grandma Mo specifically ordered someone to keep them for lunch. Hearing this, Li Xianxian lifted her gaze and said, "Grandma, you're older now and your digestive system isn't in the best condition. It might be better to throw away the leftovers." However, Grandma Mo casually retorted, "It's fine. I've eaten book covers and roots when I was young. What's a little leftover food?" The old generation is used to being thrifty and were somewhat displeased upon hearing Li Xianxian's suggestion. Just by hearing what she said, it was clear she was not a person accustomed to daily life. To this day, many families are still so impoverished that they can't afford a meal. To Grandma Mo, Li Xianxian insisted on throwing away the perfectly fine leftovers. As soon as those words were spoken, Li Xianxian realized her mistake and hurriedly tried to correct it. "Grandma, I didn't mean it that way. I just worried that the leftovers might upset your stomach." Grandma Mo didn't think much of it. "Never mind that, Grandma knows you meant well." Hearing this, Li Xianxian sighed in relief and changed the subject. "By the way, Grandma, the weather is quite nice this morning. Shall I accompany you to the garden?" Grandma Mo nodded and laughed. "Sounds good." Li Xianxian immediately got up from the sofa and supported Grandma Mo's arm, ingratiating herself. "Let me assist you, Grandma." The two had just stepped out of the room. A tall and handsome figure approached. His stunning yet hidden face under the light was incredibly eye-catching. Dressed in a simple white shirt, form-fitting dress pants, black leather shoes, a black suit jacket hanging on his arm and one hand in the pocket, he walked against the light. The sun gradually highlighted his exquisitely angular features, breathtakingly radiant. This was the worthless sixth son of the Mo family, Mo Qishan? Such a shame. A man with such handsome looks, only to be wasted in the body of a useless person. Li Xianxian squinted her eyes, a hint of disdain briefly flashed in her eyes, but she politely said in front of Grandma Mo, "Uncle Six." Mo Qishan nodded and walked over. Without a word, he gave Grandma Mo a big hug. "Mom, I've missed you so much after such a long time." Grandma Mo was stunned at first, then pushed Mo Qishan away, irritated. "Get away. Who is your mother? You're hardly home all year round. Does this ungrateful son of mine even have me in his eyes?" No matter the family, mothers always spoil their youngest children. Mo Qishan had grown up spoiled and pampered. Although Grandma Mo disliked her youngest son on the surface, she still loved him very much deep inside. Although he could be considered useless, he's considerate and kind-hearted, always displaying filial piety. Moreover, money was not an object in the Mo family. Let alone supporting one Mo Qishan, they could easily support tens or even hundreds of him. So, whether Mo Qishan was competent or not was not much of a concern to Grandma Mo. "Mom, you fill my eyes," said Mo Qishan with a playful smile. "Isn't there a lyric that goes, 'Mom is the best in the world, children with mothers are precious gems'? Am I not the gem in your hands?" Mo Qishan's few words brought laughter to Grandma. "Oh, you're a grown man, still claiming to be a gem? Don't you feel embarrassed?" Mo Qishan held Grandma Mo's arm. "A child with a mother will always be a gem." Grandma Mo's laugh was even more hearty. As Li Xianxian watched from the side, contempt filled her eyes. This youngest son of the Mo family was truly a worthless piece of trash. Beyond making the elderly happy, he was good for nothing. She really wondered how the Mo family ended up having such a good-for-nothing. Mo Qishan's gaze casually swept over Li Xianxian. Strangely, Li Xianxian shuddered inadvertently. But when Li Xianxian looked up again, Mo Qishan had already resumed his wastrel demeanor. Did she see things wrong? Right, she must be seeing things wrong. How could a good-for-nothing have that kind of look? Chapter 92 Is that person an I Yang? _3. Madame Mo continued, "Mo, are you out of money again?" Because Mo Qishan was nothing more than a wastrel, Madame Mo was always worried about him running out of money. Mo Qishan said, "No, I have money, you don't need to worry." Madame Mo retorted, "There's no one else here, no need for embarrassment. Take this card. If you're out of money, I'll give you more." Helpless, Mo Qishan said, "Mom, I really do have money. If he doesn't even have a decent job, how could he have money?" Knowing that he wanted to save face, Madame Mo immediately put on a stern face and said, "If I ask you to take it, take it. If you don't take it, don't call me mom again. I don't want a son like you." Seeing Madame Mo act like this, Mo Chishan could only accept, because he knew that if he didn't, the old woman would surely worry about him not having enough to eat or being warm enough out in the world. At this, the contempt in Li Xiangxian's eyes deepened. This Mo6 not only was a mama's boy but he relied on his parents for living expenses too. It was really sickening. Madame Mo continued, "By the way, Mo Xianxian and I are going for a walk in the garden. Do you want to join us?" Mo Chishan said, "You two go ahead, I'm going upstairs for a nap." Madame Mo said, "If you don't want to come, that's fine. Xianxian, let's go." "Okay, Grandma." Understandingly, Li Xianxian took Madame Mo's arm, nodded at Mo Chishan and then walked out with Madame Mo. The garden was in full blossom. The breeze was carrying the light scent of flowers, refreshing the mind. Li Xianxian was good at making people happy with her words. In just a few minutes she had managed to cheer up Madame Mo. Girls are always better, they know how to make people happy. Unlike that Baichuan always has a poker face. He finally got time off but still doesn't know to spend more time with me, his old mother. As she was hoping to set Mo Baichuan and Li Xianxian up, Madame Mo would often mention Mo Baichuan intentionally or unintentionally. Li Xianxian said gently, "Grandma, here I am with you. Besides, Mo is not young anymore. In a few years when he gets married, there will naturally be a daughter-in-law to take care of you, and even give you a few great-grandchildren. By then you will be a great-grandmother." Upon hearing this, Madame Mo's smile became even broader. "No idea when that kid is going to settle down." Li Xiangxian's eyes flickered. "Didn't you arrange a meeting for Mr. Mo and Miss Zhou a few days ago? I heard that Miss Zhou is not only very beautiful but also an overseas study alumni. These two are simply made for each other, a perfect match of looks and talent." Mentioning this, Madame Mo became angry. That dim-witted boy didn't even meet up with Miss Zhou. I'm left with no explanation for the matchmaker. They had clearly arranged to meet at the cafe. When that boy comes back, he'll have to answer to me. Hearing this, Li Xianxian pretended to be surprised. "Oh? Mr. Mo didn't meet Miss Zhou?" Madame Mo nodded. "I wonder if he has someone else in his heart. Even if he does, he can't stand up Miss Zhou like that." Upon hearing this, a flash of excitement quickly passed through Li Xiangxian's eyes. She knew that Mo Baichuan had her in his heart. It was just that he was too shy to admit due to his macho pride. Otherwise he wouldn't have stood Zhou Yalan up for her sake. Everything Mo Baichuan did must be for her. Thinking about this, Li Xiangxian's heart was as sweet as if it had been filled with honey. Li Xianxian masked her emotions and continued, "I don't think there are any women in Mr. Mo's heart. Although there are female comrade-in-arms in the base, Mr. Mo never approaches them. At the base, the only one who could approach Mo Baichuan was her and nobody else." Thinking about this, Li Xiangxian's heart fluttered again. On hearing this, Madame Mo turned to Li Xianxian puzzled. "That's strange. If there's no one in Baichuan's heart, why didn't he meet Miss Zhou?" Li Xianxian laughed. "It might be for some other reason. After all, I've never seen Mr. Mo interact with other women." The last words were quite enlightening. She hasn't seen other women? But there is Li Xianxian. Upon hearing this, Madame Mo reacted quickly. Her eyes filled with realization as she looked at Li Xianxian. Chapter 93 Is that person an I Yang? _4. That's right. The person who has always been closely following Mo Baichuan is Li Xianxian. Could this kid have fallen for Li Xianxian? Notice the gaze of Granny Mo. Li Xiangxian's face blushed a bit and she shyly said, "Granny, why are you looking at me like this? Do I have something dirty on my face?" As she spoke, Li Xianxian touched her own cheek, feeling puzzled. Granny Mo laughed benignly. No, our Xianxian is beautiful." "Oh, Granny, you're making me shy." Li Xiangxian's voice softened a few degrees. All right, I'll stop speaking." Granny Mo looked at Li Xianxian, who was as beautiful as a fresh flower, and suddenly came up with a plan. After a moment, Granny Mo continued, "Right, Xianxian, how is the issue with the divine doctor from Jiangnan progressing?" Mo Hudi was banking on this divine doctor to save her life. Considering this, Granny Mo's smile faded slightly. Li Xianxian then said, "Granny, don't worry, I have already contacted the divine doctor. He said that he might not have time to come over for a while, and we might have to wait a bit more." Wait a bit more. But she feared that Mo Hudi couldn't wait much longer. Li Xianxian seemed to perceive Granny Mo's underlying concern. "Granny, don't worry, the divine doctor has promised to send us some life-saving elixirs first. Currently he has a very serious patient under his care. Once that patient is healed, he will immediately come here. Hearing this, Granny Imo was considerably relieved. Xianxian, is it really true that the divine doctor will send the medicine over? Li Xianxian smiled. Granny, what are you saying? Could I lie to you? That's good, that's good. Granny Imo took Li Xianxian's hand, exclaiming, Xianxian, I don't know how I can ever repay you. The divine doctor from Jiangnan is known for his eccentric temperament. Moreover, he refuses to treat people surnamed Imo or Yang. If it weren't for Li Xianxian, they would be helpless. Granny Imo was so moved that her eyes reddened. Granny, Li Xianxian said earnestly, there's no need for you to stand on ceremony with me. Granny Imo nodded. Just at this moment, an eye-catching figure walked through the flower garden. With every step, it was as though he was walking right into Li Xianxian's heart. Li Xianxian gazed at the figure, her eyes filled with infatuation, almost forgetting to breathe. Seeing Li Xianxian like this, Granny Mo's smile deepened. Her grandson was truly magnificent. So handsome. Look at how smitten the young lady is. Chuan Chuan is back. Granny Imo went forward to greet him with a beaming smile. Granny. Imo Baichuan reached out to steady Granny Imo. At this time, Li Xianxian also reacted, quickly reaching out to support Granny Mo's other arm, saying softly, Granny, let us accompany you for a walk. There's no denying that the way she conversed was clever and she had high emotional intelligence. Granny Imo smiled widely, very well. With one on each side to support Granny Imo, Li Xianxian occasionally said something to make Granny Imo laugh heartily. The atmosphere was indeed harmonious. After a while, Mo Baichuan suddenly stopped and said to Granny Mo, Granny, I have to leave for some work, I won't be able to accompany you. Stay a bit longer, it's not often that you accompany me for a walk. Granny Imo looked up at Mo Baichuan. Li Xianxian also looked expectantly at Mo Baichuan. However, Mo Baichuan didn't even spare her a glance. He bent down and said, Granny, I promise I will spend more time with you when I get a chance. He then affectionately touched his left cheek to Granny Mo's. Granny Imo looked delighted. Get going, you naughty boy. I'm off then. Mo Baichuan turned and walked off in another direction. Li Xianxian stared dumbly at his retreating figure. Her eyes were clouded with adoration and she couldn't snap out of it for quite a while. Granny Imo teased her with a smile. Xianxian, what do you think about Chuan Chuan, that naughty boy? Li Xianxian quickly recovered, nodded and said, He's very good. The smile on Granny Mo's face grew wider as she added, that boy has always been like that? He has a troublesome temper, even in front of the people he likes, he never changes. You must not mind. Mo Baichuan's personality was notoriously troublesome. That was the reason he has been unable to find a partner till now. Granny Mo didn't want his bad temperament to scare Li Xianxian away. Chapter 94 Is that person an I Yang? _5. It's not easy to find someone you like. Li Xianxian shyly shook her head, pretending she didn't understand. I don't know what you're talking about, Grandma, let's go look around up ahead. From an angle where old lady Mo couldn't see, a triumphant smile spread across Li Xianxian's face. Li Xianxian did a good job pretending, so old lady Mo naturally didn't notice anything unusual. Over at the Yurdist Road morning market, N.I. Yang had prepared more than 600 bowls of noodles today and sold them all before noon. There were still many customers who didn't get a chance to have noodles. Little boss, you only prepare so few noodles every morning. Are you deliberately tempting our appetites? Joked a customer who stood in line for a long time without getting his noodles. Exactly, little boss, are you doing it on purpose? A lot of customers joined in the buzz. Mu Qingli distributed small cards to everyone and apologized. I'm really sorry, there are limited bowls of soup noodles every morning, and I can't keep up by myself. You can come over earlier tomorrow with this small card, you can get a 5-cent discount per bowl. This earned considerable approval from the crowd. 5 cents. That could buy one old-fashioned popsicle. The little boss indeed knew how to do business. Who else would be willing to give up this 5 cents? N.I. Yang distributed all more than 100 cards until none left. After giving out all the cards, N.I. Yang started to clean up the stall and prepared to go home. Today was Saturday, so as N.I. Yang just walked over to the shop, she saw Lu Wei sitting on a bench in front of the door reading. Upon hearing footsteps, Li Wei immediately looked up. As expected, it was N.I. Yang. N.I. Yang, have you started packing up? Li Wei initiated the conversation. Yeah. Mu Qingli nodded. Li Wei continued, N.I. Yang, I have a question to ask you. N.I. Yang swiftly arranged the table and chairs. What's the matter? Li Wei took out an English test paper next to him. This problem. This problem was one of the most prone to errors in high school English. Last time, Ni Yang easily corrected the difference between adming and admirable, making Li Wei disappointed. He was a high school student, and Ni Yang was merely a junior high student. How could Ni Yang's English be this good? To test whether Ni Yang just had a lucky guess last time, Li Wei intentionally found the hardest question on the English test paper. He didn't believe that Ni Yang could answer this time. After seeing the question, Ni Yang responded, "She hid herself after the tree" is clearly a defective sentence. The correct answer should be "she hid herself behind the tree." Upon hearing this, Li Wei was astounded. His last dignity was gone. Ni Yang really did know. She truly knew English. After being stunned for a moment, Li Wei continued, "Can you explain why we use it that way?" Ni Yang answered, "Because after is often used to express something after a certain action, so some grammar books call it a dynamic preposition, whereas behind is often used after static things." Right. That was also how his teacher explained it. Li Wei didn't know how to express his feelings at the moment. "Ni Yang, thank you." It took him a while just to squeeze that out. Ni Yang smiled faintly, "You're welcome." Then Li Wei continued, "Ni Yang, last time you said you still wanted to go to school, right?" "Yeah." Ni Yang nodded. Li Wei added, "Actually, I feel that you don't need to go to school anymore. You're already excellent enough and you're doing pretty well in business. For us girls, there's no use in reading so many books as long as you marry into a good family." Out of personal motives, Li Wei didn't want Ni Yang to attend school, because Ni Yang was really too excellent. If she attended school, she would probably get into a prestigious university. What kind of good guys wouldn't she be able to find in the university? By that time he would really not be good enough for her. It would be better to just stay as it is. Ni feels like an individual. He was a high school student with a promising future. When Ni Yang stood next to him, Ni Yang was indeed in a superior position. Hearing this, Ni Yang laughed. "Li Wei, what you said doesn't sound like something an intellectual would say. What does it mean to just marry into a good family? Shouldn't us girls be mere cuscuta flowers?" What was a cuscuta flower? A cuscuta flower was a kind of flower that could only survive by clinging to other plants. Chapter 95. Is that person Ni Yang? _6. Having his feelings laid bare by Ni Yang, Li Wei's face flushed crimson, worried that he was not good enough for Ni Yang, yet too embarrassed to voice these concerns directly. "No, that's not what I meant." Right at that moment, Chen Jinfeng walked out of the store. She looked up to see Li Wei, his face beet red, and then her gaze shifted to Ni Yang, who was as enchanting as a sprite. Which young boy isn't passionate or young girl not longing for love? Seeing this scene and recalling Li Dongliang's words, a look of displeasure crossed Chen Jinfeng's face. That Ni Yang. Not content with running her business, she even dared to flirt with her own son. So young yet so calculating. Chen Jinfeng glanced at Li Wei and said sweetly, "Xiao Wei, it's hot outside. Why don't you go back inside and study?" "Okay." Li Wei glanced hurriedly at Ni Yang before turning to go inside. Chen Jinfeng turned to Ni Yang, all smiles. "Yang Yang, have you sold all your noodles this morning?" Chen Jinfeng was a diligent housewife. Every morning she would cook on time, unaware that Ni Yang's pickled fish noodles at the morning market were selling out. So every time Ni Yang told them she had sold out, they thought she was boasting. Ni Yang nodded, "Yes. Auntie, I have done my cleaning here. I'm heading home." "Go ahead." Chen Jinfeng waved at Ni Yang. Once Ni Yang had left, Chen Jinfeng called into the house. "Xiao Wei, we have to remain grounded in life. Don't always think about shortcuts or getting carried away. For example, when choosing a girl to marry, shouldn't the couple come from similar backgrounds?" Chen Jinfeng's voice was loud, her words a veiled criticism, causing Ni Yang to frown in confusion. Although Ni Yang didn't fully understand what Chen Jinfeng was hinting at, she knew that those words were intended for her to hear. It seemed she needed to work harder, strive further, to buy her own shop and no longer depend on others. After leaving the shop, Ni Yang went to the vegetable market and bought more than 30 fish and a rooster. Why a rooster? Because it was cheaper than a hen, costing only 3 yuan. A hen would cost 6 yuan. The rooster was over 4 pounds, plenty for 3 people to eat. Once she returned home and had finished eating, Ni Tsuehua had already prepared the rooster. "Yang Yang, how should we cook this chicken tonight?" Ni Tsuehua had taken Ni Yang's advice to heart. She was no longer wearing her old, worn-out clothes, but the batwing shirt and bell-bottom pants she had tried out the night before. She had even put on a bra. She looked beautiful and confident. Yang stroked her chin thoughtfully. Let's have roasted chicken tonight. Roasted chicken with its golden crust and juicy meat, neither too dry nor too greasy. Just the thought of it made one's mouth water. Roasted chicken? This was the first time Tsuehua had heard of it. She only knew 2 ways to cook chicken, either braised in soy sauce or in clear broth. How was chicken roasted? With these thoughts in her mind, Tsuehua couldn't help but voice her doubts. Yang explained with a smile, well, roasted in our bread baking oven. The bread oven was a natural oven that could roast anything. Tsuehua didn't ask any more questions and said, "I'll go start the fire now." Yang nodded, "I'll start marinating the chicken." The mother and daughter worked in perfect harmony. By the time Yang was done marinating the chicken, the bread oven was preheated. Yang carefully placed the chicken in the oven. Roasting chicken was a lengthy process, and she took this opportunity to attend to other tasks. In the afternoon, a drizzle began to fall. Little Yun was sleeping on her bed. The fish had been filleted, and both the fish soup and sour plum soup were stewing on the stove. Although Yang could have used this opportunity to rest, she was someone who couldn't stand idleness. Seeing Tsuehua beside her, Yang suddenly had a new idea. "Mum, shall I teach you to read?" Chapter 96. The little girl is quite capable. Tsuehua is a bona fide country folk, deeply influenced by the tradition of favoring males over females, and has received no formal education from childhood. As a child, her days were filled with picking pigweed and toiling in the collective farm to earn work points. However, such conditions were not unique to Tsuehua. Many rural women her age were illiterate. Some have even never stepped foot outside their county their entire life. Read the alphabet? Tsuehua was taken aback at first, then bursted out laughing. At my age? Learn to read? Illiteracy was a significant problem and incredibly inconvenient. Every time Tsuehua held out a stack of papers to ask Yang which were important and which could be thrown away, it tugged at Yang's heartstrings. Especially in the advanced information technology era, being illiterate was practically paralyzing. If she was going to relive her life, Yang wanted to change not only herself but also her mother. She was determined to help Tsuehua become a little better than before. "You have to learn," insisted Yang very seriously. "Mom, you're only 36. There's no limit to what your future can hold. Being illiterate is a laughing matter out there." At that, Tsuehua was dumbfounded. Did her future truly hold unlimited possibilities? Back in the countryside, everyone was illiterate, so she didn't feel out of place. But ever since she arrived in Beijing and started interacting with the local villagers, Tsuehua had come to realize her own shortcoming. Like when that disdainful woman Wang Jinfang from the village covertly ridiculed her for being an illiterate, she didn't even know what being an illiterate meant, and she had just laughed along with everyone else. It wasn't until much later that she found out illiterate meant not knowing how to read or write, being uneducated. Thinking about this, the smile on Quihua's face gradually faded. Looking up at Yang, she asked, Yang, can I still learn now?" With such an outstanding daughter, she as a mother must not hinder her progress. Yang nodded, "Yes, of course. Mom, you're so clever. I'm sure you'll pick it up." Determined to stand strong and no longer be a burden to her daughter, Tsuehua decided to follow Yang's advice and learn the alphabet. Yang took 2 notebooks and a pair of pens out of the house. "Mom, first let's learn to write your name." "All right." Tsuehua nodded in agreement. Yang had a beautiful handwriting. Small regular script, each stroke distinct and forceful, as if printed straight from a textbook. Although Yang had an elegant, passionate yet rough penmanship as well, it wasn't appropriate to show it off as she was teaching Tsuehua how to read and write. "Our Yang has such beautiful handwriting." Although Tsuehua was illiterate, she could tell beautiful from ugly, and her eyes were filled with pride. Yang handed the pen to Tsuehua. "Why don't you give it a try?" Tsuehua nervously accepted the pencil. These hands had tilled the soil, planted the seedlings, done all sorts of strenuous work, but strangely couldn't seem to hold a pen properly today. Yang's writing lines were straight and clear, while hers were a messy, zigzagging scrawl, and to make matters worse, her hands were uncontrollably trembling. Just as Tsuehua was feeling stupid and useless, Yang leaned over, gently held Quihua's pen-holding hand and slowly guided her, stroke by stroke. "Mom, it's like this for everyone the first time they learn to write. Don't get disheartened. My first handwriting was even worse than yours. They say teaching elderly people and children literacy is the most challenging. But Enai Tsuehua was neither elderly nor a child, and she was clever to boot, hence Enai Yang believed that she could definitely teach her well. Enai Tsuehua then said, "But Yang, your handwriting is so beautiful now." Enai Yang chuckled, "Well, don't you see how many years I've practiced? It's your first day, you can't rush these things. It has to be taken slow." With that said, Enai Tsuehua was considerably more at ease. After 10 minutes of hands-on lesson by Enai Yang, Tsuehua was able to write her own name independently. Although her handwriting was not very good, it was already a giant leap forward. Having learned to write her name, Enai Yang then started teaching Enai Tsuehua phonetics, spelling. Enai Yang wrote all 26 alphabets on a piece of paper. Seeing those letters played out, it was as if Enai Tsuehua had opened a long-lost gate of memory. Vague as it was, she could vaguely hear a gentle voice teaching her, "This is pronounced a-oi." Chapter 97. The little girl is quite capable. Enai Quiliua opened her mouth and recited following the sound in her memory, "E0e." What came next? However, Enai Tsuehua couldn't remember no matter how hard she tried. Enai Yang looked at Enai Tsuehua in surprise. "Mom, how did you know these phonetic alphabets?" Enai Tsuehua shook her head. "I don't know, it just feels like I've heard it somewhere." Heard it somewhere? Enai Yang narrowed her eyes subtly. Could this be related to her mother's past? Enai Tsuehua continued, "Maybe I heard it by accident when I was herding cows. Don't the students at school always recite it this way?" "Oe." The elementary school in Dam Village is in the village center where Enai Tsuehua used to herd cows, so this seemed like a plausible explanation. Enai Yang didn't think further and continued teaching Enai Tsuehua phonics. Enai Tsuehua was really smart. In a short while, she grasped the meaning of the 26 phonetic alphabets. She also understood the differences between initials, finals, front nasal sounds and back nasal sounds. By the end of an afternoon, Enai Tsuehua could already independently spell words using phonetics. Enai Yang laughed saying, "Mom, if you had been schooled, I'm sure you could have been admitted to a prestigious university." Enai Tsuehua was very pleased and asked, "Really?" "Of course it's true," Enai Yang continued, "otherwise how could your daughter be so smart? All because I inherited your good genes." "Genes?" Enai Tsuehua asked curiously, "What are genes? Are they different from roosters and hens?" Enai Yang laughed. Genes, also known as hereditary factors, are all the nucleotide sequences needed to produce a polypeptide chain or functional RNA. Enai Tsuehua was completely lost. In her heart, she exclaimed that it is better to be educated. This was the second time she couldn't understand what someone was saying. Seeing Enai Quihua's confusion, Enai Yang continued, "Let me give you a simple analogy. It's like you sow melon seeds and you get melons, sow beans and you get beans. This is the power of inheritance, also known as genes." With this explanation, Enai Tsuehua understood. She laughed, "Oh, I understand now, like a dragon gives birth to a dragon, a phoenix to a phoenix, and a mouse's offspring can dig holes." Enai Yang nodded with laughter. Right, that's the principle." After saying this, she added, "Mom, you stay here and study phonetics, I'm going to prepare tonight's dinner." Enai Tsuehua immediately stood up, "I'll go with you." Enai Yang smiled, "No need, I can manage by myself." After finishing speaking, Enai Yang turned and walked towards the kitchen. Tonight's main dish is roasted chicken. However, eating roasted chicken alone can cause one to feel satiated, so she can prepare a couple of dishes to balance out the greasiness and a soup. Enai Yang pulled out the menu. The first dish, stir-fried green pepper with king oyster mushrooms. The Compendium of Materia Medica records king oyster mushrooms as sweet in taste, moderate in character, strengthens the spleen and stomach, nourishes the heart and calms the mind, nourishes the blood and moistens dryness, and has a good effect on hair maintenance. Hence, this dish is prepared to prevent hair loss. After all, hair is the second face of a person. One must take good care of it. Second dish, sour and spicy tender ginger mixed with lettuce. Ginger is rich in protein, sugar, fat, iron, salt, etc., as well as rich gingerol and shogal, hailed as the king of rust removal, and lettuce contains abundant fluorine elements. This combination can effectively whiten teeth. If only the external image is good, but one reveals a mouth of big yellow teeth when they speak, it's not attractive. Toothpaste cannot bring about such whitening effects. In her previous life, Enai Yang wasted quite a bit of money to whiten her teeth. She even resorted to expensive porcelain teeth, but artificial ones can't compare to natural ones. Therefore, in this life, Enai Yang decided to take care of her own teeth. Even if one is born beautiful, they still need to be maintained. If not maintained, soon one will become haggard from kitchen smoke and turn into a yellow-faced woman. The third dish is soup, adenophora and polygonatum soup with pork ribs. The Compendium of Materia Medica classifies polygonatum as a top-grade medicinal material and records. Treats all deficiencies, long-term use gets rid of a dark complexion, promotes a good skin tone and moistens skin, lightens the body and slows down aging. Hence, adenophora and polygonatum soup with pork ribs has a great effect in whitening and moisturizing the skin. After deciding on what to eat for the night, Yang began to prepare. Having prepared all these dishes, night gradually fell. Tsuehua was collecting clothes in the yard. She was very focused, reciting the 26 phonetic alphabets while collecting clothes and didn't even notice when Yang passed by her. Chapter 98 The little girl is quite capable. _3. Yang walked to the oven, and as soon as she opened the little door of the oven, she was greeted with an alluring aroma of roasted chicken. No franchises such as KFC, McDonald's, or How to Duck can compare to the aroma of the chicken roasted in this oven. Yang wasn't initially hungry, but upon catching this aroma, her mouth began to water uncontrollably. It was indeed too fragrant. Soon the aroma filled the entire yard. The moment Qingwei entered the yard, she smelled the aroma and exclaimed, Yang, what delicious dish are you cooking again? She felt incredibly lucky to have met Yang on the train. Yang, carrying a dish, walked out of the kitchen and smiled. Can you guess? Qingwei took a sniff. It smells so good, I guess it must be meat? Tsuehua approached from the side. Sister Qingge, can you guess what meat it is? Qingwei laughed. It must be pork, right? What else, besides pork, can be made so fragrant? Such aroma is absolutely delightful. It's chicken. Tsuehua replied. Qingwei paused, expressing her surprise. Chicken can be made this fragrant? Qingwei had eaten chicken stew and chicken soup before. But she had never even seen chicken made this fragrant before. Tsuehua continued, yes, it's chicken Yang's roasted chicken. Sister Qingge, please wash your hands and prepare to come in for the meal. Roasted chicken? The news clearly brightened Qingwei's eyes. She had long heard of roasted chicken, but she had never eaten it. Because some areas in the country are not fully equipped yet, it's not easy to get to eat roasted chicken. However, she heard from others that roasted chicken was indeed delicious. Qingwei couldn't resist swallowing her saliva. All right, I will be right there. She immediately went to the well to wash her hands. When Qingwei came to the living room after washing her hands, Yang had already prepared the meal and set the bowls and chopsticks. But the first thing Qingwei noticed was not the food, but Tsuehua. In the dark yard just now, she couldn't see clearly. She didn't realize that Tsuehua was dressed so nicely today. Yang's mom looks very pretty today. Looking at them, Yang's beauty and confidence were clearly inherited from Quihua's superior genes. Tsuehua was a little shy and tugged at the corner of her clothes. This daughter of mine, Yang, insisted that I dress this way. Qingwei laughed. This dress suits you very well, you should have worn it long time ago. Qingwei looked at the shiny roasted chicken on the table with astonishment. Yang, how did you roast this chicken? Yang explained, it was roasted in the oven. Qingwei nodded, sighing, Yang, you're truly amazing. Even if I had an oven, I wouldn't be able to roast this. You are just being modest. Anyone could learn it as long as they are willing to spend their heart on it. Yang tore off 2 chicken legs and put them into Quihua's and Qingwei's bowls respectively. Mom and let's start eating. A chicken only has 2 legs, which are among the most precious parts of the chicken's body. Both Qingwei and Tsuehua refused the chicken legs Yang passed to them. Yang had been busy all day and had worked hard all day. Therefore, the one who should enjoy the chicken legs should have been Yang. Yang smiled and tore off a piece of chicken wing. Mom, you guys eat. I'm fine with a chicken wing. Seeing Yang being so sensible, Quihua's eyes were full of comfort and relief. Qingwei was also full of feelings in her heart. Yang was indeed a good girl. She was really envious of Tsuehua. The roasted chicken was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. With every bite, the rich, savory chicken juice exploded in the mouth. The delicate, succulent meat got more flavorful with every bite. Coupled with the 2 side dishes stir-fried by Yang, it wasn't greasy at all. They tasted delicious and satisfied their cravings. Both Tsuehua and Qingwei were tasting such delicious roasted chicken for the first time. They wished they could swallow their tongues too. Yang, this is simply delicious. and Ai Qingui was so emotionally moved that she almost cried. And Ai Cuihua also nodded continuously, very, very delicious. Seeing the roasted chicken she made was so popular, and Ai Yang's heart was full of pride. Life was becoming more and more exciting. It was really great. After the meal, Ai Qingui took 10 yuan out of her pocket and gave it to Ai Cuihua. Yang's mom, this is for this month's food expenses. Ai Cuihua took out 5 yuan from the house and handed it to Ai Qingui. However, Ai Qingui refused to accept this 5 yuan. Yang's mom, the dishes Yang cooks are so delicious, even 10 yuan seems less to me. Please keep it. There's no need to be polite with me. Chapter 99. The little girl is quite capable. _4. Ai Qingui wasn't exaggerating. Considering Ai Yang's culinary skills, she felt that even 20 yuan would be worth it, let alone 10 yuan. However, Ai Cuihua insisted on giving back the 5 yuan to Ai Qingui. Sister Qingui, integrity is crucial. We agreed on 5 yuan, I can't take an extra 5 more from you. If you refuse to take back your money, I won't let you join us for meals at our house tomorrow. Despite never having received an education, Ai Cuihua understood principles and valued promises. She knew it was wrong to take advantage of others. Though indeed Ai Yang's cooking was delicious, it didn't cost much. Furthermore, their relationship with Ai Qingui was excellent, just like family, and they didn't fret over that 5 yuan. Seeing Ai Cuihua like this, Ai Qingui had no choice but to take back the 5 yuan. Her admiration for Ai Cuihua increased even more. At this moment, Ai Yang was bustling around in the kitchen. She was preparing the food she would bring to Grandma Imo tomorrow morning. The elderly woman's appetite wasn't great, and she would feel tired of eating the same thing all the time, so Ai Yang had specially compiled a menu. She planned different meals for Monday, Tuesday, striving to avoid repetitions. Tomorrow was Tuesday and on the menu was 1. Toast. 2. Jujube longan porridge. The Depay herbal book states, longan nourishes the spleen and stomach, enriches blood and the heart, moistens the 5 viscera and treats palpitations. Elderly people tend to have deficiency in both energy and blood. This porridge not only stimulates the appetite, but also replenishes energy and blood, and nourishes the body. 3. Cold mixed sour and spicy ear mushrooms. The record of herbs collected in Lingnan says, ear mushrooms are used to treat dysentery caused by damp heat. The Fujian folk herbal medicine records, ear mushrooms relieve heat, smooth intestines, cure abscesses, detoxify and treat appendicitis. Therefore, for elderly people, these mushrooms are an exceptional dish, especially for those suffering from rheumatic diseases. Rheumatism happens to be a common illness among the elderly. Ai Yang was not only ensuring she ate well, but also ensuring Grandma Imo was well fed. If she had accepted Li Gongcheng's money, she must serve with all her heart and effort. After settling the menu, Ai Yang started kneading the dough for fermentation and left it until the next morning to bake. After finishing work in the kitchen, Ai Yang finally took a bath. After her bath, she delivered all the money she made today to Ai Cuihua. Today she sold more than 600 portions of noodles and 300 cups of sour plum soup, earning a total of 210 yuan. These days Ai Yang was making more money each day, and Ai Cuihua had gradually gotten used to it. Mum, Ai Yang asked while drying her hair, how much money have we made in total? She had been selling noodles for almost 2 months, but she didn't know how much more she needed to buy a store. Ai Cuihua replied, let me go count it. All this time Ai Cuihua had only been hiding the money and had never counted it. As the saying goes, wealth should not be exposed. So, before taking out the money, Ai Cuihua made sure to close the doors and windows and tightly draw the curtains, leaving no gaps. Soon Ai Cuihua brought out a small red wooden box from under the bed. As soon as they opened the box, both mother and daughter were stunned. The box was packed full with money. There were 5-cent coins, 10-cent notes and larger denomination notes. Ai Cuihua had been too busy to notice when she put the money in that the box was already filled to the brim. That's a lot of money. Ai Yang emptied all the money on the bed, and her eyes sparkled. Ai Cuihua exclaimed in surprise, I've never seen so much money in my entire life. Thinking that her daughter earned all this money made Ai Cuihua swell with pride. Her daughter was truly amazing. Mum, let's count how much we have. Okay, Ai Cuihua nodded her head. Mother and daughter sat down on the bed and began counting money. About 15 minutes later, after counting all the money on the bed, Ai Yang said, I have 4,965 yuan and 3 cents, how much do you have, Mum? Suppressing her surprise, Enai Tsuehua replied, I have 3,035 yuan and 97 cents, how much is that in total? Without hesitation Enai Yang said, that's 8,001 yuan in total. Enai Tsuehua swallowed hard and said incredulously, 8,000 yuan? Oh my god. How could it be so much money? Enai Tsuehua could never have imagined she would have so much money. 8,000 yuan. This sum was more than what an average person would earn in several years. That's terrifying. In contrast to Enai Kuihua's shock, Enai Yang's face didn't show any particular expression. Earning 8,000 yuan was within her expectations. Chapter 100 The little girl is quite capable. _5. It was precisely because the 80s were full of business opportunities that money came in fast. Enai Yang laughed and said, Mom, don't be surprised. Actually, 8,000 yuan isn't much. The shop I'm interested in is 508 yuan per square meter, and it's a total of 50 square meters, requiring more than 20,000 yuan. The money we have right now isn't even half of that amount. All calculations done, she realized that if she worked hard, she could buy a store by the end of the year. In the future, the price of real estate in Beijing had already risen to astronomical heights, especially for retail spaces. Therefore, Enai Yang decided to buy more shops and houses to hold on to. When she no longer needed to do the noodle business in the future, Enai Tsuehua could just sit at home and collect rent. When she thought of a promising future, Enai Yang couldn't help but smile. Enai Qingui exclaimed in surprise, Why are stores so expensive? Enai Yang laughed and said, Because the location is not bad, this price is already a bargain. In this era, being a self-employed entrepreneur was not a prestigious job, so many people were reluctant to do business, thus leading to lower prices for real commercial properties. Although Enai Yang thought it was a bargain, others perceived it as expensive. After all, the average wage for workers during this era was around 30 or 40 yuan per month. After Li Xianxian returned from the Mo family, she made a phone call to Dam Village from a public phone booth. Since it took some time to connect the call and to call Li Shu, almost half an hour had passed. When Li Shu picked up the phone, she was so antsy, fearing that her daughter would ask about Enai Yang. As expected, right after saying hello, the second thing Li Xianxian asked was about Enai Yang. Swallowing nervously, Li Shu tried to calm herself down and said, Xianxian, don't worry. Mu Yang, that damn girl, has been picked up by that old bachelor. In this situation, Li Shu could only choose to withhold the truth. If she were to reveal the truth to Li Xianxian would surely blame her for not being able to handle such a simple task. She didn't want her daughter to be disappointed in her for being an incompetent mother. Enai Yang left Dam Village with her incapable mother, two women with a burden, penniless. They may have already starved to death by now. They were no threat to Li Xianxian, who was far away in Beijing. Moreover, Enai Yang was just a country bumpkin. Her daughter Li Xianxian was a university student and the lifesaver of a person of high status, with a promising future ahead of her. Enai Yang was nothing in comparison to Li Xianxian. Thinking like this helped Li Shu feel much reassured. Fearing any oversights, Li Xianxian asked, By the way, Mom, is Mu Yang's mother surnamed Enai? Li Xianxian remembered that the reason why Enai Yang was called Enai Yang was because, like herself, she took her mother's surname. In fact, Li Xianxian and Enai Yang came from similar family backgrounds. Fortunately, she got out of that cage early on. Yes, that's right. Mu Yang's mother is called Enai Tsuehua, Li Shu replied. Upon hearing this, Li Xianxian felt a lot more assured. It appeared that she was overthinking. Mu Yang was Enai Yang. The little Enai who cooked for Mrs. Mo had nothing to do with Enai Yang. Li Xianxian continued, Mom, be sure to keep an eye on Mu Yang. Don't let her have any chance to escape or rebound. Saying this, a malicious glint flashed in Li Xianxian's eyes. Li Shu originally wanted to ask Li Xianxian why she was so wary of Enai Yang, but fearing that her daughter would detect something, she held back her question. Xianxian, rest assured, I will not let her escape. Li Shu's legs were trembling as she said this. Thankfully, she didn't tell Li Xianxian the truth just now. Otherwise, who knows how angry Li Xianxian would be. Li Xianxian continued, Right, I sent you some money a few days ago. You should receive it in a few days. Don't forget to collect it at the post office. All right, Xianxian. I got it. Li Shu replied, Take good care of yourself out there. Don't let me worry about you. Li Xianxian casually replied a few sentences before hanging up. At the same time, the rock hanging in her heart finally fell to the ground. Li Shu, having hung up the phone on her end, also breathed a sigh of relief. No, she needed to go back and pray to the Bodhisattva, hoping that the Bodhisattva would bless that little wretch and Yang to die early. Otherwise she would always feel restless. Chapter 101 The little girl is quite capable. _6. Mo family. While tidying up the living room, Mrs. Mo suddenly discovered a glass bottle in the bag that Li Gongqing had sent over in the morning. The bottle held a deep purple-red liquid that looked very appealing. So Mrs. Mo placed a call to Li Gongqing to inquire. Upon hearing his explanation, Mrs. Mo asked puzzledly, "Sour plum soup? The kind that you can drink?" Li Gongqing responded, "Yes, exactly. This was made by Boss Xiaoni. Tastes good. You could give it a try, madam." Having full trust in Yang's cooking skills, after hanging up the phone, Mrs. Mo opened the bottle of sour plum soup, poured a cup, took a small sip, and then couldn't help but drink all the soup in the cup in one gulp. It was delicious. Mrs. Mo had never tasted such good sour plum soup before. Just then Mo Qishan walked in from outside. Mrs. Mo beckoned Mo Qishan, saying, "Old Six, come here, Mom has something good for you." "What is it?" Mo Qishan approached curiously. Mrs. Mo poured the last bit of sour plum soup into the cup and passed it to Mo Qishan. "Try this. I guarantee you've never had such delicious sour plum soup." "Sour plum soup? Sweet." Mo Qishan frowned. In his life he despised sweet things the most. Just as he was about to turn it down, Mrs. Mo continued, "Go ahead, give it a try. It really tastes good. Wouldn't your mother deceive you?" Dubious, Mo Qishan took over the cup and tentatively took a small sip. The flavor was surprisingly good. It was sour and sweet, delightful to the taste. And it carried with it a hint of osmanthus fragrance. Tasted better than any other beverage he had ever had. Gulp, gulp. Mo Qishan finished the sour plum soup in the cup in one gulp, and even had a lingering taste for it. Mrs. Mo chuckled. "See, didn't I tell you it's delicious?" Mo Qishan nodded. "Indeed, it's pretty good. Mom, where'd you get such a treasure?" Upon hearing this, Mrs. Mo immediately told Mo Qishan about the pickled vegetable noodles and praised Yang from start to finish. For some reason, whenever he heard this name, Yang's beautiful face appeared in Mo Qishan's mind. The little girl was talented. Having only met her once, she made him feel head over heels. It seemed he had to start dealing with a few things. It shouldn't affect his pursuit of his future wife. "What are you laughing at?" Mrs. Mo asked in curiosity as she watched Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan replied with a serious face, "I'm happy, Mom. You've got an appetite, everything tastes good, and you're incredibly healthy. Why wouldn't I, as your son, be happy?" "You rascal, only think of amusing your mom." Mrs. Mo patted Mo Qishan's shoulder cheerfully. Then Mo Qishan took out a high-end gift box. "Mom, I also have a gift for you. Open it and see." Mrs. Mo was stunned at first, then opened the box. Inside it was a set of emerald jewelry in excellent condition. The magnificent green shade of the jade was clear and unblemished, reminiscent of a pure jade spring, tranquil and elegant with a vibrant verdant luster, without a trace of flaws, dazzling yet exuding a soft, dignified aura. One can tell at a glance that it was worth a fortune. Mo Qishan asked, "Mom, do you like it?" Satisfied with her son's filial piety, Mrs. Mo burst into laughter. "Like it? Like it?" Anything given by her son, even if it's a useless piece of stone, she would also love it. She promptly had the maid store away the set of jewelry, then took out 2 cards from her pocket and handed them to Mo Qishan. "You rascal, keep these cards." Deep down Mrs. Mo was aware of the value of that jade jewelry set. Probably this rascal spent all his money just to cheer her up. What a rascal. At least he's filial. It was worthwhile doting on him so much. Mo Qishan declined, "I am so grown up now, do I still need money from you?" "I do have money. You don't have to worry about me." Chapter 102 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _1 Rich? This was already the umpteenth time that Mo Qishan had told Mrs. Mo that he was rich, but Mrs. Mo never actually took his words to heart. After all, Mo Qishan had dropped out of school in his second year of high school, even disappearing for a while, and never continued his education afterwards. He didn't even complete high school, let alone university. So, at most, you could say Mo Qishan had a junior high school education. Nowadays, factories were only hiring those with at least a high school diploma. Moreover, Mo Qishan wasn't holding any positions in any of the Mo family's businesses either. So, how could a man with so much free time have any money? Don't put on a brave face in front of your mother, put your money away. Mrs. Mo gently patted Mo Qishan's hand and said meaningfully, My dear sixth child, I never expected you would make a big success in this life. As long as you are safe and sound, that's all that matters. Our family has lots of money, all of which I am saving for you, so you don't have to worry about the future. All mother wants now is for you to bring back that girl from the Zhao family and give her a big, chubby grandson. Mo Qishan helplessly rubbed his nose and laughed. Zhao Jingrong is a talented student from France. Do you think I'm good enough for her? Don't be absurd. Mrs. Mo scolded. The Zhao family is very reliable and generous, and Jingrong is indeed a rare good girl. You two have been betrothed in advance, and they definitely won't renege on their promise. Mrs. Mo and Mo Fuhai were on the same page. They both placed their utmost trust in the Zhao family. Generous? The people of the Zhao family really were generous indeed. Mo Qishan chuckled and remained silent. After going upstairs, Mo Qishan made a phone call. Mo Qishan held the phone, and unlike his usual casual demeanor, he appeared composed and somber. If others were to see him now, they would surely be taken aback. When did a usually unproductive and idle person start to emanate such a powerful aura? Hello, it's time to leak the news to the Zhao family. After uttering this sentence, Mo Qishan hung up the phone. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qishan reverted back to his usual self, as if what had just happened was merely an illusion. The next day, she had to prepare breakfast for Mrs. Mo, and Yang got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Unexpectedly, Tsuehua had woken up even earlier. At this time, not only had Tsuehua already stoked the oven for the bread, but she had also tidied up all the stuff that Yang needed for her stall. With Kuihua's help, Yang's work was completed much faster. She first kneaded the fermented dough into the shape of bread and placed it into the oven to bake. Then she began to stir-fry. All the ingredients were prepared the night before, so all she needed to do was wash them and she was ready to cook. While Yang was stir-frying, Tsuehua sat by the stove and kept the fire going. In no time, the small kitchen was filled with the fragrant smell of the dishes. When the dishes were done, the bread was also almost ready. Yang made a dozen or so loaves of bread. She took 2 with her to give to Mrs. Mo, ate 1 herself, and left the remaining 7 for Tsuehua and Chingui. There's nothing like sipping porridge, munching on bread, and enjoying some tangy radish slices for breakfast. After breakfast and after preparing everything, Yang set off for the morning market. At 5:30, Yang arrived at the morning market on time. Although she arrived earlier than usual that day, there were already quite a few customers waiting for her. Little boss, you're finally here. Do you have sour plum soup this morning? Yang smiled and replied, yes, I've prepared 500 servings for this morning. With everyone's help, it didn't take long for the stove and tables and chairs to be set up. Li Gongqing arrived a bit later than usual that morning, so by the time it was his turn, he handed his thermos to Yang, excitedly saying, Xiaoni, our old lady really loves the breakfast you make. From now on, could you please make her breakfast every day? The one who pays is the boss and you do what the boss said. Yang took the thermos and smiling said, no problem, it's my duty. Does the old lady want the usual breakfast this morning? Li Gongqing nodded, yes, and also a cup of sour plum soup. Although had sour plum soup before, those soups didn't taste even 1/3 as good as the one made by Yang. After a sip, Li Gongqing fell in love with that taste. It was simply amazing. When Li Gongqing arrived at the Mo family after eating his noodles, it was exactly 7 o'clock. At this time, Mrs. Mo had been waiting impatiently in the living room. Mrs. Mo. Chapter 103, Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _2. Xiaoli. Seeing Li Gongqing, old lady Mo excitedly stood up. Li Gongqing handed the bag to old lady Mo. Old lady, this is your breakfast for this morning. Good, good, good. Old lady Mo immediately opened the bag, a bit disappointed. How come there's no sour plum soup this morning? Li Gongqing explained, Boss Xiaoni said that elderly people shouldn't eat too much sweet stuff, so she didn't prepare sour plum soup for you. Oh. Old lady Mo nodded, this Boss Xiaoni does know quite a lot. Strangely, old lady Mo felt a warmth in her heart. It was fine that there was no sour plum soup, after all, Boss Xiaoni's cooking skills were top-notch. Old lady Mo now was surely Yang's #1 fan. Li Gongqing continued, Old lady, you eat first, it'll be going now. Yep, go ahead with your work. As soon as Li Gongqing left, old lady Mo opened the thermos box. The thermos box and yesterday's are in pairs. In total there were 3 layers. The first layer was juju blangan porridge. The second layer was sour and spicy ear mushrooms. The third layer contained 2 items wrapped in oil paper. It was unclear what they were. Old Lady Emo was curious. As she unwrapped the oil paper layer by layer, a fragrant sweet milky aroma immediately hit her face. What met her eyes was a golden, glistening bread. The crust was crispy and the inside fluffy and delicate. As she gently broke it apart, steam could be seen emanating from inside. It smelled delicious. Old Lady Emo took a deep breath. This xiaoni really did surprise her every morning. Old Lady Emo had eaten buns and steamed buns as well as bread bought from outside, but this was the first time she had eaten such tasty bread. The taste, it was simply amazing. Why was she so fond of xiaoni? Unconsciously, Old Lady Emo developed a fondness for this xiaoni whom she had never met before. Not long after Emo Baichuan came down from upstairs, he actively greeted Old Lady Emo. "Good morning, Grandma. Chuan, come here, join your grandma for breakfast." Old Lady Emo waved at him. Emo Baichuan did as she said and walked over. Old Lady Emo handed the remaining bread to Emo Baichuan. Emo Baichuan refused lightly. "I don't have an appetite in the morning, Grandma. I'm just going to watch you eat." "No appetite?" Old Lady Emo laughed. Chuan, I guarantee after you eat something xiaoni made, you will immediately get your appetite back." "Xiaoni? An Aiyang? This was made by an Aiyang?" Emo Baichuan subtly squinted his eyes. "An Aiyang, you really have overreached yourself." Despite being indifferent to him, she managed to make his family so happy behind the scenes. Wasn't this a classic case of playing hard to get? Old Lady Emo continued. Chuan, why don't you take a bite? I was just like you before, didn't have much of an appetite. But ever since I started eating food prepared by xiaoni, it got much better. Who wants to eat something made by a woman with ulterior motives? Emo Baichuan hid all his displeasure at the bottom of his eyes, then said, "Grandma, I really can't eat. Alright, I have something else to do, I have to go now." Before Old Lady Emo could react, Emo Baichuan's figure had already disappeared outside the door. This damn kid. Old Lady Emo sighed helplessly. The Zhao family had 2 sons and 1 daughter. The daughter, Zhao Jingrong, had been spoiled from a young age. Zhao Jingrong was 3 years younger than Emo Qixin, 24 this year. 24-year-old Zhao Jingrong had an excellent reputation in Beijing's circles of wealth. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also a talented student who studied abroad in France. If it wasn't for her engagement with Emo Qixin, her doorstep would probably have been worn out by suitors. Early in the morning, everyone in the Zhao family was gathered in the living room, the atmosphere a bit heavy. Zhao Baoxing looked up at his beloved daughter. "Jingrong, I heard that the youngest Emo lad has returned. What's your opinion on this matter?" Zhao Jingrong carelessly replied while blowing on her freshly painted nails. "He's back, what does it have to do with me?" Zhao Baoxing continued. "Jingrong, have you forgotten you are still engaged to him?" Zhao Jingrong chuckled lightly. "Engagement? Whoever agreed to this engagement can go ahead and marry. How dare that useless Emo Qixin dream of marrying her, a swan, just because he's a toad? In his dreams." Zhao Baoxing was left speechless by his precious daughter. This engagement, after all, had been arranged by them, the parents. The Mrs. Zhao on the side leisurely interjected. "The engagement back then was just verbal, it doesn't really count for anything, right?" Chapter 104 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _3. Zhao Baoxing lamented, "But we have accepted the token from the Emo family." In the beginning, Emo Qixin was arguably an once-in-millennium genius. At the age of 3, Emo Qixin could recite all Tang and Song dynasty poetry. At 4 he could mentally calculate any addition, subtraction, multiplication or division problem. At 5 he could discuss 5,000 years of Chinese history, even in more detail than historical records. At 6 he started 1st grade and at 7 he skipped to 3rd grade. The Zhao family would not have arranged a marriage with the Emo family so early on if it weren't for this. The Zhao family was certain that Emo Qixin's future was beyond measure. Who could have expected that they had overestimated him, making the wrong gamble? They all had high hopes for Emo Qixin, but to their surprise, Emo Qixin lost his genius, becoming gradually a mere ordinary person. He even became less than an ordinary person. At the very least, an ordinary person knows to work and earn a living to support the family, whereas Mo Qixin was capable of nothing but idleness. Madame Zhao was dismissive. "So what if we accepted a token? We can just return it. This isn't a big deal." Zhao Baoxing sighed, "But one should not be so fickle in life. Besides, we have decades of friendship with the Emo family. How can we maintain this relationship if we break off the engagement?" Madame Zhao cried out. "Not break off the engagement? So are you suggesting that our Jingrong be married to that good-for-nothing? Is friendship more important than our precious daughter? Mom is right. I'd be the first to object if we marry our sister to Mo Qishan. Zhao Zijuan, the oldest son of the Zhao family, clearly expressed his opinion. Zhao Zi, the second son, echoed, I also object to marrying our sister to Mo Qishan. That good-for-nothing Mo Qishan is absolutely unworthy of their precious sister. Their sister deserved the world's best man. Jingrong, Zhao Baoxing looked up at Zhao Jingrong, what do you think? This decision ultimately depends on his precious daughter. Zhao Jingrong smiled and said, Dad, you're really muddle-headed. With that incompetent Mo Qishan, how could he possibly deserve me? Zhao Jingrong would rather never marry than marry someone like Mo Qishan. I would rather marry a man like Mr. Mog. Mr. Mog is a legendary figure in high society. Everything about him is a mystery, his age, identity, even nationality. Even Zhao Jingrong had only seen Mr. Mog's silhouette in the international news section. People in their circle could not help but feel admiration when they mentioned Mr. Mog. Zhao Baoxing continued, but you've never even seen Mr. Mog's face, how do you know he's your type? Zhao Jingrong answered with a light smile, Dad, do you think I'm the type of person who is superficial enough to judge someone only by their appearance? Appearance? Could a good appearance bring you gold or silver? Zhao Jingrong knew exactly what she wanted. She desired not just an exceptional lifestyle, but also ultimate glory. Could that incompetent Mo Qishan provide her with such glory? Madame Zhao nodded, Jingrong, your mom supports you. You're so outstanding. You could not only win over one Mr. Mog but even 10 of them. Jingrong's two brothers agreed, their confidence in their sister completely unwavering. Zhao Baoxing said, what if Mr. Mog turns out to be a much older man? After all, the glory Mr. Mog had acquired was not something a young man could easily handle. This man might even be older than him. Zhao Jingrong gave a faint smile, that would still be better than that good-for-nothing Mo Qishan. Zhao Baoxing sighed, all right Jingrong, Dad understands your point, I will find a time to discuss this matter with the Mo family. Zhao Jingrong gently put her nail polish on the coffee table. Dad, you don't have to find a time, we should cut the knot quickly. Let's do it tomorrow, I will go with you. Also, Zhao Jingrong added, Dad, breaking off the engagement is not a matter of negotiation, it is a necessity. Zhao Jingrong felt disgustingly nauseous just thinking about still being engaged to that good-for-nothing Mo Qishan. Her skin breaking out in goosebumps. Little sister, we will accompany you. Zhao Jingrong's two older brothers said. Madame Zhao added, I'll go with you too. Just in case the Mo family refuses to break off the engagement, we have strength in numbers. When the old lady from the Mo family found out that the Zhao family was coming the next day, she was so thrilled she could hardly close her mouth. She immediately ordered the servants to clean the entire house, inside and out, to show respect to the Zhao family. Chapter 105 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _4. Both sides' children had grown up now, and the Zhao family's visit at this time undoubtedly meant that they were prepared to discuss the wedding date of Mo Qishan and Zhao Jingrong. The thought of being able to hold her plump grandson in the not-so-distant future made the old Mrs. Mo sprightly, and she quickly went upstairs to share this good news with Mo Qishan. Upon hearing the news, Mo Qishan forced a smile. All right Mom, I got it. Old Mrs. Mo continued, Old 6, remember to be on your best behavior in front of Jingrong tomorrow. Mo Qishan nodded, you can count on me mother. I won't let you down. Old Mrs. Mo added, and remember to tidy yourself up tomorrow. Don't be so frivolous. Mo Qishan nodded again, a trace of sarcasm hidden in the depths of his eyes. On Yurtist Road, around 11 in the morning, Anai Yang had sold out her 600 servings of noodles and 500 cups of sour plum soup. She made a total of 220 yuan today, taking her a step closer to her goal of buying a shop. Anai Yang smiled as she began packing up her stall. As she lowered her gaze to tidy up the bowls and utensils, a dark shadow suddenly loomed over her. At the same time, an oppressive aura filled the air around her, making it hard to breathe and creating a somewhat claustrophobic atmosphere. Anai Yang instinctively looked up, her gaze meeting a pair of deep, icy black eyes. Their eyes locked, and the fluctuating emotions within his gaze were as deep and cold as an abyss, piercingly insightful as if they were going to see right through her. It was him, Mo Baichuan. That narcissistic piece of trash. Anai Yang had no good impression of such arrogant and conceited people. However, she had shoved him into a puddle of water the last time they met. He couldn't be seeking revenge this time, could he? At this thought, Anai Yang's eyes darkened. Cook me a bowl of noodles. After a moment, Mo Baichuan spoke and then sat down on a stool. Ai Yang shook off her surprise and replied softly, I'm sorry sir, I've already packed up. Mo Baichuan had been struggling to control himself ever since he saw Ai Yang preparing food for old Mrs. Mo at the Mo family residence. Why was he struggling to control himself? Because he was suddenly desperate to see beyond Ai Yang's beautiful exterior. Ai Yang had been doing so many things from the start until now, with the sole purpose of getting close to him, right? Fine then. He would give her an opportunity. He was curious to see what other schemes Ai Yang had up her sleeve. Mo Baichuan squinted imperceptibly. Seeing that he remained silent, Ai Yang spoke up again. Excuse me sir, I've already packed up. If you want to eat noodles you can come by tomorrow. I told you my surname is Mo. Mo Baichuan suddenly looked at Ai Yang. Mo like in may the right prevail. Oh. Ai Yang's face didn't betray any emotions as she replied, Mr. Mo, I've packed up already. Please go back. Upon hearing this, Mo Baichuan frowned in displeasure. If he remembered correctly, this was the third time in just a few minutes that Ai Yang had rejected him. Usually he was the one avoiding women, yet to his surprise he was being shunned by a woman today? Always running hot and cold? Was this some kind of a joke? I said, cook me a bowl of noodles. Mo Baichuan was determined. But I have packed up already. Ai Yang repeated calmly, showing no fear whatsoever towards Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan raised his head to look at Ai Yang, coldly saying, Ai Yang, do you find this amusing? Hearing this, Ai Yang suddenly remembered something. Did you lose a watch about a month ago? Ai Yang wasn't the type of person to take advantage of others' misfortune. The unpleasantness of their previous encounters had made her forget about the watch. Upon hearing this, Mo Baichuan's eyes filled with contempt. Was Ai Yang trying to curry favor with him? Hadn't she just resolutely refused him? Couldn't she hide her true intentions for a tad longer? Moreover, hadn't she stolen his watch? And now she was saying that he had lost it? How shameless could she be? Mo Baichuan nodded slightly. Yes, I lost a watch. What brand was your watch? Ai Yang asked. That watch was quite valuable, so it was necessary to confirm the details. Patek Philippe. Mo Baichuan calmly pronounced, not seeming at all perturbed about the valuable watch. Ai Yang nodded slightly, then said, I don't have your watch on me today. Can you come back to pick it up tomorrow? I set up my stall here every day. Chapter 106 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _5. Get it tomorrow? Is she creating an excuse for meeting again? Yes, it must be the case. So, this is all the cunning that Ai Yang has? Mo Baichuan thought to himself. Mo Baichuan continued, why wait for another day when it can be done today? My watch, it's very valuable. Very valuable? As if suggesting that she has some kind of ulterior motive. Ai Yang frowned slightly and lightly said, but I don't have it with me today. They'll definitely bring it tomorrow, you can come and get it tomorrow. She couldn't always carry such a valuable item with her. What if she loses it? Where did you put it? Mo Baichuan slowly lifted his gaze. It's at home. Ai Yang replied. Let's go. Mo Baichuan stood up from the bench. Go. Go where? Ai Yang frowned. Where to? To your home. Mo Baichuan said with an indifferent tone, and then added 3 more words, to get the watch. Go to her home? Ai Yang frowned slightly. The social climate wasn't that open yet. What would it mean if she brought back a man to her house for no reason? Seeing her reaction, Mo Baichuan continued, you don't want to return it to me? Are you serious about going? Ai Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Mo Baichuan maintained a calm expression. Of course I am. Okay. Ai Yang nodded. Since you insist on going, then wait for me. I need to clean up here before I can go home. Mo Baichuan nodded slightly, concise in words. With Mr. Mo Baichuan standing there, the air around him seemed inexplicably colder. Consequently, the number of passers-by turning their heads back increased. Ai Yang distinctly remembered that the missy in bell-bottoms and sunglasses had passed by here more than 5 times. After tidying up, Ai Yang began moving the tables and chairs into Li Dongliang's shop. The shop wasn't far from here. From Mo Baichuan's perspective, he could clearly see the young man in white standing at the door, laughing and talking with Ai Yang. It seemed like he even handed something to Ai Yang. Most importantly, Ai Yang actually accepted it. Seeing this, Mo Baichuan's face darkened involuntarily. A girl from a good family, chatting so happily with a man under the bright daylight. And wasn't Ai Yang playing hard to get with him just now? Why did she turn around and flirt with someone else so quickly? Seeing this, Mo Baichuan became even more restless and strode towards Ni Yang. Mo Baichuan had a tall and straight figure, and came from a distinguished background, so he emanated an imposing aura that was hard to ignore. This strong aura quietened Li Wei, who was in the midst of a conversation. He instantly stopped talking, looked behind Ni Yang and whispered, "Who is he? Last time it was Song Beiqing, now it's Mo Baichuan." Li Wei felt the men appearing next to Ni Yang were not simple characters. Who? Ni Yang turned around with a curious look. As she turned around, she saw Mo Baichuan with an imposing look. A customer who came for noodles. Ni Yang turned her gaze slightly and said casually, "A customer who came for noodles?" Mo Baichuan's expression remained the same, but his dark eyes slightly lifted, deep and inscrutable. He disliked the term customer somewhat. He turned his eyes to Ni Yang and asked in a slightly cold tone, "When should we go?" Catching on to the word, Li Wei looked at Ni Yang with a scrutinizing gaze. It seemed that Ni Yang had a more than normal relationship with this man. If not, he wouldn't use the word we. For a moment, Li Wei felt a hint of unspoken bitterness in his heart. Ni Yang, with her head bowed, said, "Wait a little longer." However, Ni Yang didn't intend to bring Mo Baichuan back home. After packing up everything, she said, "Wait here, I will quickly return the wristwatch." Having said that, she hopped onto her bicycle and quickly rode away. Mo Baichuan was left standing there, a little slow to react. Why did Ni Yang just leave? Wasn't she supposed to use this chance to bring him to her home and get him acquainted? What was Ni Yang trying to do? Was she trying to entice him with a new strategy? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes. A new strategy, eh? He wouldn't let her succeed. Ni Yang had good physical stamina, so her bicycling speed was extremely fast. Less than an hour had passed when she returned. However, when she arrived, Mo Baichuan was nowhere to be found. She is crazy. Ni Yang couldn't resist muttering under her breath. Even though they both were part of the Mo family, his actions were far from those of Mo Qixin. Ni Yang was so angry she felt like kicking Mo Baichuan to death. What a piece of junk. Ni Yang took a deep breath, trying hard to calm herself down, tucked the wristwatch back in her pocket, and headed for the nearest Xinhua bookstore to pick out some books. Ni Yang selected beginner-level books, annotated storybooks with pinyin, and a few books with models for calligraphy. These books would be of great help to Ni Tsuehua, who was just learning to read. The total cost of 5 books amounted to 6 yuan. Although quite expensive, Ni Yang didn't regret it as knowledge is priceless. After Ni Yang returned home, she gave these books to Ni Tsuehua. Ni Tsuehua said affectionately, "Yang, these must have cost a lot, right?" Knowing Ni Tsuehua would be worried about the money, Ni Yang laughed and said, "It's not much, just a few cents." "Really?" Ni Tsuehua asked, suspicious. "Of course it's true." Ni Yang nodded hurriedly. "You think about it, our delicious noodles only cost 3 cents per bowl. How much can a few books be worth?" Hearing this, Ni Tsuehua was relieved. She was always afraid that Ni Yang would waste money on her. After all, Ni Yang's money was meant to be used to buy shops and make a big deal. "Sister Ni Yang." At that moment, the voice of Yang Guobao rang out from outside the courtyard. "Guobao, come in," Ni Yang called back. Yang Guobao walked in carefully with a basket in his hands. "Sister Ni Yang, my grandma and mother asked me to give this to you." Ni Yang looked down and saw the basket was full of brown eggs. Each egg looked almost the same size. Piled together, they looked exceptionally pleasing. Because meat was expensive, eggs were considered quite valuable at this time, with each one costing 1 cent. And to have such a full basket of eggs, probably took a long time to accumulate. Ni Yang said, "I can't accept this, you should take it back." "No." Yang Guobao replied, "My mom and grandma said you had to accept these eggs today, otherwise they wouldn't let me go home." Ni Yang gave a gentle pat on Yang Guobao's head. "Guobao, be obedient, I appreciate the intention, but I really can't accept this, take it back. Anyway, I've already brought the eggs here. Sister, you have to take them." Having said that, Yang Guobao quickly ran away. Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, "Guobao's behavior has been improving a lot lately. Yang, since this is a sincere offering from Mei Feng and Aunt Wang, let's accept it. Didn't you bake some fruit and bread yesterday? When returning the basket later, bring some as a return gift." Ni Yang nodded. "All right, I'll go and empty the basket now." Ni Yang went inside, emptied the basket, lined it with a piece of paper, and placed in 4 pieces of bread, dried apples and bananas. Remembering that Aunt Wang had 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, and I Yang added a good handful of candies and finally covered the basket with a piece of cloth with blue floral patterns. People were coming and going in the village. It wouldn't be good to not give anything if they encountered an acquaintance. But, if they gave something and there were many people, there might not be enough, which could offend someone, so just covering the stuff was the safest solution. Chapter 107 Termination of Engagement. When Ni Yang arrived at Aunt Wang's house, Yang Guobao was playing in the mud by the door with his cousins, Wang Yuanji and Wang Xiaoqin. Aunt Wang was chatting with Wang Meifeng at the entrance. Seeing Ni Yang coming, Wang Meifeng and Aunt Wang immediately greeted her with a smile. Yang is here. Auntie Wang, I've come to return the basket. Aunt Wang smiled and said, just for returning a basket, you didn't have to bring it yourself. She then told Wang Meifeng, quickly make some tea for Yang. Aunt Wang's family now treat Ni Yang as if she were an honored guest. Yang Guobao used to get sick several times a week before, but now, almost a month had gone by without incident. If he could keep up the medication for another month, Yang Guobao would be completely cured. All this was thanks to Ni Yang. Without her, Yang Guobao would not be the way he is now. Wang Meifeng had more than once expressed her gratitude for not giving in to pressure back then and not listening to the imperial doctor, Dr. Wang's words. If she had shown even a little hesitation then, she would have perfectly missed the chance of Yang Guobao's recovery. Luckily, Wang Meifeng turned and went inside to make tea for Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled and said, Auntie Wang, you don't need to bother, I'm not thirsty, I just came to return the basket. It's okay if you're not thirsty, let's go inside and chat. Aunt Wang led Ni Yang into the house. Ni Yang couldn't refuse Aunt Wang's kindness and had no choice but to carry the basket and go with her into the house. Yang, sit, I'll get you something good. Aunt Wang pressed Ni Yang down into a chair and then went into the inner room. At this point, Wang Meifeng also finished brewing the tea. Yang, have some tea. Ni Yang stood up immediately and accepted the teacup with both hands. Thank you, Auntie Wang. Wang Meifeng giggled. Why are you being so formal? Sit down. After a while, Aunt Wang came out of the room with 3 honey tangerines and stuffed them into Ni Yang's hands. Yang, these are honey tangerines your uncle brought back from the city a few days ago. Try them and see if they're sweet. The season for honey tangerines was not yet here. Off-season fruits were particularly expensive. Ni Yang had asked specifically when she was buying fruits before, and even a small honey tangerine sold for 50 cents apiece. 3 honey tangerines can be traded for almost half a kilo of pork. If it was anyone else, Aunt Wang would not have been able to bring out 3 at once. After all, when her own grandchildren ate them, they divided them up one segment at a time. But this was Ni Yang. As long as Ni Yang liked it, Aunt Wang would not be stingy, not even for 10. Seeing Aunt Wang's hopeful look, Ni Yang peeled a tangerine and sampled a segment. It's very sweet. Thank you, Auntie. Hearing this, Aunt Wang broke into a happy smile. Stop being so formal with me. If you like them, I can get you more. Ni Yang immediately stopped Aunt Wang's hand. Auntie, no need to. I just wanted to try one. If you carry on like this, I won't dare to visit next time. Only then did Aunt Wang stop. After some casual chatting for a while, Ni Yang began to say goodbye. Aunt Wang and Wang Meifeng walked Ni Yang to the door. Ni Yang smiled and said, Auntie Wang, no need to see me out, you should go back inside. Sister Ni Yang, I'll walk you home. Yang Guobao hopped to Ni Yang's side. Sister Ni Yang, I'm your flower guardian. Ni Yang patted Yang Guobao's little head. Thank you then, little envoy Guobao. Yang Guobao bashfully ran ahead. Sister Ni Yang, I'll lead the way. Aunt Wang and Wang Meifeng didn't go back until Ni Yang and Yang Guobao disappeared in front of the bamboo forest. Just then, the excited voices of Wang Yuanji and Wang Xiaoqin could be heard from inside the house. Grandma, Auntie, are these the delicious treats that Sister Ni Yang just brought? The mother and daughter only found out when they went inside that the basket Ni Yang had just brought wasn't empty, it was filled to the brim with delicious treats. Seeing all the good food, the 2 children jumped for joy. Aunt Wang picked up a piece of dried fruit, curiously asking, What's this? Wang Meifeng shook her head. Wang Xiaoqin said, It's dried fruit, baked by Sister Ni Yang in the bread oven. Grandma, you have to taste it, it's really good. Wang Yuanji added, Yes, it's dried fruit. Aunt Wang asked out of curiosity, Yuanji Xiaoqin, how do you know this is dried fruit? Chapter 108 Termination of Engagement. Wang Yuanji said, Because we have eaten at Sister Ni Yang's house plenty of times. Last time, Sister Ni Yang even hosted a party for us. And Yang was not only beautiful but also friendly. After hosting the last party, she held several more at her home. As a result, all the children in the village loved her. Old Lady Wang tasted the dried fruit. They were crispy, and not only did they have the sweetness of fruit, but also the texture of a dessert. The taste was incredible. Old Lady Wang exclaimed, Yang is such a sensible little girl. Meifeng, after Guobao is fully recovered, you must bring your mother-in-law as well as Changjing to come and properly thank Yang. Compared to other girls Yang's age who knew little about the world, like Wang Xiaohong who relied on her beauty to the point of arrogance, Yang not only understood worldly wisdom and knew how to do business, but also had excellent medical skills. Most importantly, she didn't let it get to her head. She remained grounded, humble and polite, without any hint that she thought herself better than others. Wang Meifeng nodded, Mom, rest assured, one understand. Old Lady Wang smiled and said, as long as you understand, that's good. An family. Tsuehua was busy in the kitchen slicing fish and stewing fish bone soup. She was efficient and quickly finished all her tasks. Afterwards, she moved a small stool next to Yun's cradle, watching the child while reading. Tsuehua was a smart woman who had learned to read from phonetics. The feeling of being able to recognize words was something she had never experienced before. Yang, on the other hand, was watering the vegetables in the garden. 2 months had passed, and under Qihua's diligent efforts, the once barren vegetable garden had turned lush green. It was now growing bok choy, long beans, loofah, soybeans, potatoes, cilantro, scallions, etc., and they were growing very well. The herbs and aloe vera Yang had brought back from the mountain had grown particularly well. Especially the aloe vera that had started to branch out. Those fat and large leaves made Yang want to chew on them right on the spot. After watering, Yang picked a handful of baby greens to feed the rabbits. Because these little rabbits were too mischievous, Tsuehua had built a fence to keep them contained, preventing them from running around and scattering droppings everywhere. Yang tossed the baby greens into the fence, and the little rabbits immediately started crunching on them. After finishing up at home, Yang took a bucket to the river to check the traps. As soon as she arrived at the river, she met a tall, slender figure with handsome features hidden in the light. Yang. Seeing who it was, Yang was momentarily stunned, then said, Big brother Mo. Yang, you've come to check the traps again today? Mo Chishan naturally took the bucket from Yang's hands, then continued, It rained last night and the river has risen. It's not suitable for you to go down, let me do it. Yang turned to look at the river. Indeed. The river had significantly risen. At least 50 to 60 centimeters above where she normally placed her traps. As it was summer and Yang was a girl, getting her top wet would not only look improper but could also cause a stir in the village. It must be said that Mo Kishin's arrival was indeed very timely. And his considerations were very thoughtful. Yang looked up at Mo Chishan. Then he'll have to trouble you, big brother Mo? Mo Chishan smiled and said, There is no trouble at all, helping others is a virtue. Then be careful, big brother Mo. Yang shouted. Hearing her call him big brother Mo was sweeter to Mo Chishan than any honey. How could a little girl's words be so pleasant to hear? He was truly lucky to have met such a treasure of a girl. Don't worry, Mo Chishan patted his chest, your big brother Mo is a good swimmer. Having said that, Mo Chishan walked towards the river with the bucket. Because he had helped Yang retrieve her traps once before, Mo Chishan was able to find the exact location accurately today. Mo Chishan was tall and had long legs, so the water only reached a bit above his waist, but for Yang, it would probably reach her chest. Soon, Mo Chishan retrieved the traps and walked back with a bucket full of fish. Today's haul was pretty good. Not only were there crucian carp, but also 3 big grass carps. Chapter 109 Termination of Engagement. As Yang reached out for the bucket. Thanks, brother Mo. No need for formalities. Mo Chishan didn't hand the bucket directly to Yang but said, This bucket of fish is quite heavy, let me take it home for you. The fragmented remains of fish, along with shells and other things, weighed at least 15 to 20 kilograms. With him around, how could she, a young girl, be asked to do such heavy labor? Yang smiled and said, No need, I can handle it. It's all right. Mo Chishan stepped ahead, saying, I consider it physical exercise. Mo Chishan, tall and striding, soon left Yang behind. Having no choice, Yang quickened her pace to catch up. As she walked with Mo Chishan, they chatted idly. Brother Mo, is your injury healing? She was most likely referring to the bite mark she had left on his collarbone last time. Mo Kishin's face inexplicably turned red. It's fine now. Have you been to the hospital? Anai Yang asked further. Mo Kishin replied, yes, I have. The doctor said it's nothing serious. Upon hearing this, Anai Yang was relieved. That's good. Anai Yang initially thought Mo Kishin would accompany her all the way home. Unexpectedly, just before they turned the corner to her house, Mo Kishin stopped, placed the bucket on the ground and said, Yang, I want go inside. I'm heading off first. After all, during this time, social conduct between men and women was strictly monitored. He and Anai Yang were not real cousins, and he did not want to cause unnecessary trouble for her. Now it was daytime, unlike during that past night. Anai Yang was surprised at his sensitivity, smiling, wait for me here for a moment. Not only was Anai Yang pretty, but her teeth were also especially white when she smiled. Like rows of neatly arranged tiny pearls, they were brilliant and eye-catching. Mo Kishin was mesmerized looking at her. In a short while Anai Yang returned with a run. But this time, Anai Yang held a bag made of oily paper. She stuffed the oily paper bag into Mo Kishin's hands. This has some dried fruit that I made. You can try them, brother Mo. Last time it was bread, now it was dried fruit. Was this young girl subconsciously considering him as a servant to serve him snacks? Thank you. Mo Kishin continued, you should go home, Yang. You don't want anyone to see us and get the wrong idea. Anai Yang nodded and turned towards her home. Mo Kishin also started walking toward the river, whistling along the way. Upon returning home, Anai Yang began preparations for dinner. What to cook for tonight's meal? Anai Yang pondered, chin in hand, and her eyes landed on the 2 cucumbers and a bunch of cilantro in her basket. Suddenly she had an idea. She could make cold skin noodles for dinner. Not wasting any time, Anai Yang began kneading and washing the flour. Making cold skin noodles was neither too simple nor too complex. The main difficulty lay in washing the flour, where she had to wash a whole dough ball in water until it turned into a small ball of gluten. The washed dough water, after settling, could be used for steaming. Cold skin noodles originated from the northwest and were quite rare in Beijing at that time. Seeing Anai Yang washing dough, Anai Tsuehua curiously asked, Yang, what are you making? Anai Yang explained, I'm washing dough to make cold skin noodles. Cold skin noodles? Anai Tsuehua continued, can we eat them? Yes. Anai Yang nodded. Anai Tsuehua then asked, Yang, can one help with something? Anai Yang replied, how about you slice the cucumbers and cut the cilantro and spring onions into segments, then crush some garlic. All right. Anai Tsuehua straightaway started washing the vegetables efficiently. The mother-daughter duo cooperated superbly, and as soon as Anai Yang finished washing the dough, Anai Tsuehua had already chopped all the ingredients. So, Anai Tsuehua started the fire under the stove, while Anai Yang took her place by the pot to steam the noodles. Cold skin noodles were very filling and were great for the spleen and appetite when eaten in the summer, so Anai Yang prepared a few extra plates for Granny Mo's breakfast the next day. Before long the cold skin noodles were ready. Anai Yang sliced the cold skin noodles and put them in a large bowl, added spring onions, cilantro, minced garlic, cucumber strips, and finally poured sesame oil, vinegar, and chili on top. The enticing aroma wafted even before she started mixing everything. Worried that the cold skin noodles alone wouldn't fill their stomachs, Anai Yang also boiled 6 tea eggs with the eggs Yang Guobao had brought. Except for the tea leaves, Anai Yang mixed all the marinades herself. In no time, the delicious aroma filled the entire courtyard. Chapter 110 Termination of Engagement Carrot. After boiling the tea eggs, Anai Yang halved them and arranged them on a porcelain white plate. They were garnished with a few slices of tomatoes, providing a pleasing feast for the eyes which was delightfully ceremonial. Additionally, Anai Yang stir-fried 2 small dishes beneficial for beauty and nourishment. Anai Tsuehua served all the dishes onto the table, waiting for Anai Chingue to return and start the meal. The cold noodles were pleasant with a sour taste and a smooth texture. Their appealing flavor lingered in their mouths, leaving Anai Chingue and Anai Tsuehua full of praise. The 3 of them cleaned out all the dishes, leaving only 2 eggs behind. Seeing the popularity of her cold noodles, Anai Yang had a new idea in mind. However, this idea could only be implemented after buying a shop. After finishing the meal, Anai Yang went into the kitchen to make sour plum soup. As the weather was hot, this soup was extremely popular. It often sold out before the pickled vegetable noodles each morning, hence Anai Yang decided to brew more sour plum soup to take along. She prepared 500 servings yesterday, so she planned to prepare 1,000 servings today. With a price of 1 cent per cup, 1,000 cups of sour plum soup would total 2 yuan. In this way she would be another step closer to her plan of buying a shop. With this in mind, Yang was filled with a renewed vigor. She reckoned she could endure being a bit tired, as good days are always made out of tough ones. The next day, Mo family's house. Because the Zhao family had promised to visit today, old lady Mo woke up early. However, instead of the Zhao family, she was first greeted by Li Gongqing. Li Gongqing had come to bring her breakfast. Old lady Mo eagerly opened the thermos, and sure enough, Yang's breakfast meal did not disappoint her. Sour and appetizing cold noodles. Rich and fragrant stir-fried shrimp with leeks. Cool and refreshing soup of loofah and lotus seeds. The food delighted old lady Mo's palate, but what she did not know was that all these dishes that Yang prepared were health-promoting. For instance, stir-fried shrimp with leeks helps to expel cold and is particularly good for the elderly, while a soup of loofah and lotus seeds has the effect of resisting osteoporosis. Are there any elderly people who do not have osteoporosis? While she was unaware of these health benefits, old lady Mo could clearly feel that ever since she started eating the meals prepared by Yang, her health improved day by day. It needs to be noted that she was in a condition where she would pant after taking 2 steps. There was no need to guess, this was definitely because the dishes by Boss Xiaoni tasted good. So, at present old lady Mo is completely satisfied with Boss Xiaoni. Xiaoli, wait a moment. Old lady Mo called out to Li Gongqing, who was about to leave. Old lady, do you have any other instructions? Li Gongqing turned his head towards her. Old lady Mo then asked, Xiaoli, how old is Boss Xiaoni this year? Are they a boy or girl? Are they married? Boss Xiaoni saved her life once, so she wanted to prepare a gift to thank Boss Xiaoni. Li Gongqing replied, Boss Xiaoni is a 17-year-old girl and she's not married yet. 17 years old? Is she still a young girl? Old lady Mo was extremely astonished. It never occurred to her that such delicious food came from a 17-year-old girl. She originally thought that even if Boss Xiaoni was young, she must be at least in her 30s. This was truly unexpected. Xiaoli, you aren't playing tricks on me, are you? Li Gongqing laughed and said, Why would I trick you? Boss Xiaoni is indeed so young. Actually, my initial reaction was the same as yours. Who would believe that a 17-year-old girl could be so skilled in cooking unless they witnessed it themselves? Old lady Mo suppressed her amazement, nodded her head and made up her mind. Okay, I've got it. You may return to your work. All right, old lady. Li Gongqing bent his waist slightly and turned to leave. As old lady Mo was getting ready to eat, Mo Fuhai, dressed smartly, came down from upstairs. Old man, come here. Old lady Mo waved her hand at him. What's up? You seem secretive. Mo Fuhai walked over. Old lady Mo laughed. It's rare that you're up early. Come, let's have breakfast together. Xiaoli just brought it over, it's still warm. Although Mo Fuhai initially had little appetite, after seeing the appealing appearance of the food and its mouth-watering aroma, he quietly withdrew his impending refusal. He picked up his bowl and chopsticks and joined old lady Mo in a hearty meal. As expected, the taste didn't disappoint him. Chapter 111 Termination of Engagement. Even Mo Fuhai, who had tasted countless delicacies, was deeply impressed. It's delicious. Mo Fuhai wiped his mouth, looking at the empty thermos box, and said a little bit adoringly, This was made by Boss Xiaoni? Mrs. Mo nodded. Indeed, they say Boss Xiaoni is only a 17-year-old girl. It's incredible. Only 17 years old? Mo Fuhai exclaimed, That's truly impressive. It wasn't until 10 o'clock in the morning, nearly 11, that the Zhao family finally arrived late. Little Six, quickly make some tea for your uncle and aunt. Mo Fuhai hinted at Mo Qishan with his eyes. Mo Qishan nodded, Okay. Zhao Jingrong may have an engagement with Mo Qishan, but because one was studying abroad and the other was loafing around, the two hadn't seen each other for over a decade. She never expected that such a loser could turn out to be so good-looking. From every angle, there was not a single unfavorable feature on Mo Qishan's face. He was way more handsome than any pretty boy on TV. He's quite handsome indeed. But it's a pity. Physical appearance was the most useless thing in the world. If a woman was beautiful, she might have an opportunity to climb to higher social status. But as for men, being handsome only makes one a pretty boy. At this moment, Mo Qishan handed the steeped tea to Zhao Jingrong. Be careful, it's hot. Be careful, it's hot? Was Mo Qishan trying to please her? Well, she was beautiful and outstanding, it was impossible that any man wouldn't be charmed by her. You don't have to flatter me. Zhao Jingrong snorted coldly, because I'm here to dissolve the engagement. At her words, the lively living room immediately fell silent. Zhao Baoxing, who was at the top of the family hierarchy, chuckled nervously. Jingrong, what kind of joke are you making? Mo Fuhai and Mrs. Mo quickly tried to smooth things over. It's okay, young people like to joke. I'm not joking, Uncle Mo, Auntie Mo, you should be very clear about my conditions. Zhao Jingrong stood up directly from the sofa and pointed at Mo Qixin and asked, what makes you think that this man is worthy of me? Since she had decided to dissolve the engagement, Zhao Jingrong wasn't planning to maintain relations with the Mo family in the future. Since the truth was eventually going to be revealed, there was no sense in beating around the bush. Once she married Mr. Mog, all of Beijing would have to give her due respect. What did the Mo family count for? As soon as her words were spoken, the faces of Mo Fuhai and Mrs. Mo turned extremely awful. Even if Mo Qixin was not competent, he was still their precious son. How could they tolerate someone insulting him like this? Moreover, the person doing this was the girl they had always liked for their daughter-in-law. They had never dreamed that the smart and cute little girl from those days would become what she was today. Mo Qixin smiled and said, Miss Zhao is right. I am Mo Qixin, am idle and incompetent. I am indeed not worthy of the talented and beautiful Miss Zhao. Zhao Jingrong narrowed her eyes. What was up with this good-for-nothing Mo Qixin? How could he still manage to smile? Shouldn't he be sobbing and begging her not to break off the engagement at this moment? Was he too shocked? So, Mo Qixin continued, it's not that Miss Zhao wants to dissolve the engagement with me, but I want to dissolve the engagement with Miss Zhao. Breaking an engagement and having an engagement broken off were two completely different things. Just like calling off a wedding differs from being dumped. If it were spread around that she was dumped by a loser, she wouldn't be able to save face. Hearing his words, Zhao Jingrong exploded. You want to break off our engagement? On what grounds can you break off our engagement? What right did a loser have to speak to her like that? Mo Qixin gave a faint smile. Are you saying that, Miss Zhao, you don't want to dissolve the engagement? It's not too late for you to change your mind. At least this loser had some brains. Zhao Jingrong finally understood that this loser was trying to goad her, with the aim of preserving the engagement. She knew this loser wouldn't renounce the engagement easily. Of course not. Zhao Jingrong retorted. If that's the case, this is the dissolution agreement. Please keep it, Miss Zhao. Mo Qixin handed Zhao Jingrong an envelope. If I remember correctly, when our two families set this engagement, we also exchanged tokens? The thing from your house is in the envelope. Chapter 112 Termination of Engagement _6. A divorce letter. This good-for-nothing actually wrote a divorce letter. To Zhao Jingrong, this is an absolute humiliation. But on second thought, what if this is a strategy from the loser, feigning weakness to bait the enemy? I can't fall for his trick. Ending the engagement is the only way forward. With no other option, Zhao Jingrong had no choice but to accept the divorce letter and swallow this humiliation. Dad, give the jade pendant back to them. Let's go. Zhao Baoxing never expected things would turn out this way. This is far from how they imagined the divorce would turn out. They thought the Mo family would try to salvage the situation. However, not only did they not say a word of regret, but Mo Qixin also threw out the divorce letter. Just like the descendants of a military family showing their impressive integrity. Zhao Baoxing placed the jade pendant on the table. Facing his old friend of many years, he expressed his regret. I'm so sorry, Fuhai. After all, when the Zhao family fell on hard times, the Mo family helped them. Their actions today were completely ungrateful. After thinking, Zhao Baoxing continued, Fuhai, my old friend, one can't interfere with the children's matters. One hope you understand. Get out. Mo Fuhai's face turned livid with rage. Just a while ago he was saying the Zhao family would never break their promise. But before he could turn around, reality has slapped him in the face. He had misread the Zhao family. Dad. Zhao Jingrong shouted, why are you wasting words with them? Let's go. Mrs. Zhao swiftly pulled Zhao Baoxing away. Watching the departing Zhao family, Mo Qixin shouted, may Miss Zhao find a suitable husband soon. Safe journeys. The two Zhao brothers turned around. Rest assured, our little sister will surely marry the best man this world has to offer. She will never stoop to someone like you. Mo Qixin was not angered, but instead replied with a faint smile, I'm looking forward to seeing it. After the Zhao family left, the Mo family matriarch came to Mo Qixin's side with a heartbroken expression. My dear sixth child, you've suffered today. One never thought the Zhao family could be so horrible. Mo Qixin laughed and said, Mom, I'm not upset. It's a good thing to see their true faces early. Oh, my dear sixth child, a man can easily find a good wife, don't be too upset. Mo Fuhai came over and patted Mo Chishan on the shoulder. I'm not upset. Mo Fuhai took several bank cards out of his pocket. Dear Sixth, don't force yourself too much. If you want to cry, just cry. Even without a wife, you still have money. As long as you have money, what kind of woman cannot be found? Mo Chishan helplessly said, Mom and Dad, I'm really not upset and one don't want to cry. One also don't need these cards. I have money now, so you don't have to worry about me. He was really not upset and he truly had money. Why wouldn't his parents believe him? Just keep it. Mo Fuhai patted Mo Chishan's shoulder. We are both men, I understand you. Mo Chishan thought to himself. No, you don't understand. Mo Fuhai continued. You're always saying that you have money. If I may ask, where does your money come from? I earned it, Mo Chishan replied. Mo Fuhai persisted. How did you earn it? Mo Chishan hesitated slightly. This is classified information. I can't tell you for now. Just know that your son is not lacking money now. Classified information? No lack of money? What big secret can a person who didn't even graduate from high school involve himself in? Looking at it this way, it seems this incident has really hit the kid hard and now he's talking nonsense. Thinking of this, Mo Fuhai's eyes filled with worry again. Sixth, you can go wherever you want to go during this period. Don't worry, your mom and I won't push you nor blame you. But remember my words, never ever consider any drastic actions. Mo Chishan was almost amused by what Mo Fuhai said. Dad, where are your thoughts going? I truly am not the least bit heartbroken. Mo Fuhai thought to himself not to upset his son any further, so he nodded in agreement. All right. One believe you. You're not heartbroken or sad at all, but you have to accept this money. Otherwise I won't be at ease. Faced with no other choice, Mo Chishan could only nod in acceptance. Only then did Mo Fuhai breathe a sigh of relief. The next day, news of Mo Chishan's divorce with Zhao Jingrong spread across the entire upper-class society in Beijing. Zheng family. Upon hearing this news, Zheng Xianjing was so excited that she didn't know what to do. Excellent. Mo Chishan finally severed the marital tie with Zhao Jingrong. That Zhao Jingrong really knows nothing about gems. Now that Mo Chishan has just ended his engagement with Zhao Jingrong, perhaps he's heartbroken. If she goes to comfort him now, perhaps she could take advantage of his vulnerability. With that thought, Zheng Xianjing immediately put on some beautiful makeup, put on a nice dress and hurried towards the door. As soon as she ran into the living room, she bumped into Zheng Lingling who was coming out of the kitchen. Zheng Lingling let out a scream. What's the rush? You spilt the chicken soup that I made for your grandma? Zheng Xianjing was startled. In her memory, Zheng Lingling had never lost her temper with her this much. Mom, what are you doing? You scared me. Isn't it just a bowl of chicken soup? If it's spilt, can't you just make another one? An unnatural look flashed across Zheng Lingling's eyes. Make another bowl? You make it sound so easy. Do you know how much effort it takes to cook a bowl of chicken soup? Zheng Xianjing dismissed it. It's just a bowl of chicken soup, how hard can it be? Besides, don't we have maids? Lingling looked at the soup and shattered pieces on the floor, her eyes full of heartache. Your grandma hasn't been feeling well lately. Do you know how much tonic I put in this chicken soup? And you just wasted it all. Zheng Xianjing dismissed it. Mom, when did you become so thrifty? It's just some tonic and a bowl of chicken soup. Is it really worth it? Zheng Lingling subtly changed the topic. Xianjing, where are you rushing off to? Zheng Xianjing remembered her mission, turning to run out of the door. Mom, I can't talk now, one have to go. At this moment, a maid came with a broom to clean up the chicken soup and broken pieces on the floor. Zheng Lingling said, Mrs. Wu, leave this to me, you go to your other tasks. Zheng Lingling always treated the maids kindly, so Mrs. Wu didn't think much of it and handed the broom to her. Once she turned around, Mrs. Wu began commending Zheng Lingling to the other maids. Though the madam isn't the madam's biological daughter, she is genuinely filial to her, not only personally making chicken soup for her, but also reprimanding the miss when she accidentally spilt the soup. Would she ever rebuke the miss under normal circumstances? Upon hearing this, the other maids all nodded in agreement. Zheng Lingling stood outside, listening, a venomous smile lurking at the corner of her mouth. The old hag. I'm so good to her, yet all she knows is to stare blankly at that photo all day. If that's the case, you can't blame me. Chapter 113 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot. When Zheng Xianjing arrived at the Mo family's house, the elderly couple was sitting in the living room sighing and looking downcast. Grandpa Mo, Grandma Mo? Xianjing is here. Seeing Zheng Xianjing, Mrs. Mo managed to squeeze a faint smile from the corner of her mouth. Grandma Mo, this is the chicken soup my mother asked me to bring to you. Please drink it while it's hot. Zheng Xianjing handed the thermal box in her hands to Mrs. Mo, thinking it would be improper to visit the Mo family empty-handed. Zheng Xianjing had packed a portion from the shop. Mrs. Mo exclaimed in surprise, "Chicken soup? Did your mom make it herself?" "Yes." Zheng Xianjing nodded, her face not turning red and her heart not skipping a beat. "My mom knew that you and Grandpa Mo must be feeling down, so she sent me to check on you." Mrs. Mo patted Zheng Xianjing's hand gratefully, sighing, "Your mom is really thoughtful." Zheng Xianjing lifted the lid of the thermal box and scooped out 2 bowls of chicken soup. "Grandpa Mo, Grandma Mo, please try my mother's cooking." "Good, good." Mr. Mo Fuhai and Mrs. Mo received the chicken soup, praising Zheng Xianjing for her filial piety. Then Zheng Xianjing comforted them, "Grandpa Mo, Grandma Mo, don't feel sad or upset. Zhao Jingrong's calling off the marriage with Uncle Mo is her loss. I believe Uncle Mo will surely find a better girl, 1,000 even 1,000,000 times better than her. I believe one day, Zhao Jingrong will regret her actions from yesterday." Speaking these words, Zheng Xianjing's eyes filled with determination. It was obvious that Zhao Jingrong would regret her actions. However, there was no pill for regret in this world for her to take. Only Zheng Xianjing knew a secret that others didn't, so she was determined to hold on to Mo Qixin. The more Zhao Jingrong looked down on Mo Qixin, the more it highlighted her. Mrs. Mo looked at Zheng Xianjing in surprise. "Xianjing, do you truly think so?" She did not expect Zheng Xianjing, who was quite young, to be so sensible. While others looked down on Mo Qixin, Zheng Xianjing had such faith in him. Zheng Xianjing nodded, her eyes flickering upstairs, and answered solemnly, "Of course. Grandma Mo, some people have deep potential that just hasn't been tapped yet. One believe that Uncle Mo's future will definitely be limitless. Let Zhao Jingrong regret her decisions in the future." Mrs. Mo was so touched she was almost brought to tears. Mr. Mo Fuhai was also successfully comforted by Zheng Xianjing. As Zheng Xianjing held Mrs. Mo's hand, she cooed, "Grandma Mo, if that Zhao Jingrong regrets it and comes crying and begging to you, you and Grandpa Mo must not pay her any attention." Mrs. Mo was tickled by Zheng Xianjing and began laughing, her previous depressive mood instantly lifted. "Good, good, well, ignore her. Well, make her regret it till the end of time." "Yes." Zheng Xianjing nodded. Just then there were footsteps on the spiral staircase. Zheng Xianjing looked up to see a tall figure descending from upstairs. Fine brows, slightly upturned phoenix eyes, high nose bridge, thin lips. Every feature was just the way Zheng Xianjing liked. Although the men of the Mo family were all handsome and had a pair of standard phoenix eyes, Mo Qixin was undoubtedly the most outstanding among them. He must have heard what she just said, hadn't he? Yes, he must have heard it. Perhaps Mo Qixin had started to see her in a new light. Zheng Xianjing suppressed the excitement in her heart, stood up politely and greeted, "Uncle Mo." Mo Qixin gave a light nod and casually put on his suit jacket. "Mom, Dad, I have a bit of an urgent matter to attend to and may not be able to come back home for a while." "Alt? Leaving again?" Mrs. Mo stood up reluctantly. Mr. Mo Fuhai also stood up immediately. Mo Qixin nodded. Mrs. Mo continued, "When will you be back this time?" Mo Qixin checked his watch. "I'm not sure about the exact time, but don't worry, he'll definitely be back before the end of the year." It was clear their son just had his marriage engagement broken, and now he was leaving again. Anyone could see what was happening, and the more Mrs. Mo thought about it, the more she felt sorry for him, tears trickling from her eyes. "Mom, why are you crying?" Mo Qixin comforted her by patting her back. "It's just a short trip for me, not that I'm not coming back." Mr. Mo Fuhai tightened his face. "All right, stop crying. It isn't a good look." Zheng Xianjing softly comforted, "Grandma Mo, Uncle Mo is going to do something important, you don't need to worry." Chapter 114 Bullying Trash Eating Hot Pot _2. Zheng Xianjing's words were clearly ingratiating. Mo Qixin glanced up at her. Catching Mo Qixin's gaze, Zheng Xianjing immediately lowered her head shyly. He noticed her. Mo Qixin finally noticed her. Zheng Xianjing's heart pounded like it had been bumped by a little deer. Do something big? What big thing could Mo Qixin do? Although she knew her son couldn't do anything significant, old lady Mo felt somewhat comforted. Holding Mo Qixin's hand, she said, "My sixth son, promise your mother not to do anything foolish. Be good, understand?" Mo Qixin nodded and wiped away his mother's tears. He smiled and said, "I know, Mom." Don't worry, one will definitely take good care of myself. For some reason, the more old lady Mo saw Mo Chishan smiling, the more her heart ached. This child was too pitiful. He was still smiling when things were so dire. Go, don't worry about your mother, I will take care of the house. Mo Fuhai patted Mo Kishan's shoulder. Dad, 1 a.m. leaving then? Mo Chishan leaned over to hug Mo Fuhai, then turned to leave. Being hugged by his son, Mo Fuhai chuckled and scolded, this rascal. Zheng Xianjing, watching Mo Kishan's retreating figure, shouted, Safe travels, Uncle Mo. Mo Kishan's retreating figure was all that responded to Zheng Xianjing's words. But Zheng Xianjing didn't mind. As long as Mo Chishan noticed her, everything else would come slowly. A calculating smile curled at the corners of Zheng Xianjing's mouth. N.I. Yen had been doing great business lately. Every day the noodles and sour plum soup she prepared sold out before 11 a.m. In just 1 week she had already cleared a profit of 1,900 yuan. When she looked at Sun Chuanxiang, not only did she make no profit, but she even lost the capital. Exactly because of Sun Chengxiang's example, many people who wanted to imitate N.I. Yen were hesitant to act. Although selling other stuff might not bring them as much business as N.I. Yen, at least they could make some profit, which was better than losing money. Sun Chuanxiang was worrying earnestly. She had originally thought she could easily find the pickled vegetables N.I. Yen used, but after combing through all the agricultural markets in Beijing, she couldn't find anything similar. This couldn't go on. His son was waiting for her to pay the school fees. Although Zhu Yonghong's incident had affected her son, the school had said that as long as she paid a penalty of 1,000 yuan and wrote a self-criticism letter, he could return to school. At a time like this, she mustn't hinder her son. The reason N.I. Yen could make such delicious sour fish must be because she had some secret recipe. As long as she managed to get the secret recipe, she wouldn't have to worry about business. Thinking of this, Sun Chuanxiang formed a plan in her mind. That day, after N.I. Yen sold all the noodles, she was preparing to pack up, but then saw Sun Chuanxiang walking over carrying a basket of apples. Xiaoni, your business has been good these days, hasn't it? Yes, it has been good. N.I. Yen looked up at her. What do you need? Treating every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a smile depends on who's standing in front of you. For someone like Sun Chuanxiang, N.I. Yen couldn't even bother to deal with her, let alone smile. Little jerk. Feeling proud, right? Seeing the 2 large empty buckets, Sun Chuanxiang felt bitter in her heart. But remembering the purpose of her visit, she smiled and said, Xiaoni, you know there was a misunderstanding between your nephew Hong Hong and you recently? So, one have come especially to apologize to you. One failed to teach my daughter well. One am sorry, Xiaoni. One hope you won't hold it against me. After all, we all do business on the same street. It isn't good if we clam up, is it? N.I. Yen kept silent and continued to pack up. Seeing her not responding, Sun Chuanxiang continued, Xiaoni, you will laugh if I tell you this, but actually my family is really tough. After Hong Hong went inside jail, one have to take care of everything alone without any help. Now Hong Hong's brother is about to start school, and I can't even pull together the tuition. Halfway through her speech, Sun Chuanxiang started wiping her tears, looking pitiful. If I weren't really desperate, I wouldn't follow you and learn to make pickled vegetable noodles. One really had no choice. Unfortunately, one am not skilled. The pickled vegetable noodles I make are not as tasty as yours. Chapter 115 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _3. Sun Chuanxiang helped N.I. Yang to put the small stool on the table, and then said, Xiaoni, now the only person who can help Auntie is you. Auntie knows that you have a kind heart, you wouldn't let her suffer, right? N.I. Yang smiled lightly, I'm incapable of helping you out, please leave. No, you can help me. Sun Chuanxiang said confidently. You definitely can. What do you need help with? N.I. Yang raised an eyebrow, she was curious to see how shameless a person could be. Sun Chuanxiang continued, Xiaoni, do you think you could lend Auntie 3,000 yuan? No matter how clever N.I. Yang was, she was still just a teenage girl. After all, old foxes are always cunning. A basket of apples for 3,000 yuan? Not a bad deal. 3,000 yuan. Only Sun Chuanxiang could have the audacity to ask. N.I. Yang replied indifferently, I don't have money. You've got the wrong person. No money? Sun Chuanxiang got furious, how could you possibly be broke? N.I. Yang sells at least 700 noodles every day at 3 cents each, amounting to 210 yuan. Adding the profit from the sour plum soup, she makes over 300 yuan a day. 3,000 yuan, she could earn it back in less than 10 days. Yet now she claims to be without money. Does N.I. Yang think she's a fool and easy to cheat? And Yang chuckled. To be honest, even if I did have the money, why would I lend it to you? Sun Chuanxiang was taken aback and then said, Xiaoni, please help auntie out. We all fall on hard times, don't we? You have so much money, a small loan wouldn't affect you. Besides, you're a girl, you'll get married someday, what do you need all this money for? Besides, it's not like I won't pay you back. There's no need for you to be so stingy. In her past life, Yang had met countless people, but never had she met someone as shameless as Sun Chuanxiang. Not only did she try to steal her business and frame her, she now shamelessly asks for a favor. How laughable. No wonder Zhu Yonghong could do such horrible things. The problem was with the parents. Yang burst into laughter at Sun Chuanxiang. True, I am indeed that stingy. What a sneaky little brat. She deserves to die. Sun Chuanxiang wished she could strangle Yang right there and then. If it weren't for this sneaky brat, would their family have all these problems? Sun Chuanxiang suppressed her anger and continued, Xiaoni, it's fine if you don't lend me 3,000 yuan, can you lend me 1,000 then? You know that auntie can't make sour fish as well as you do or do as well in her business. We can barely make ends meet. Otherwise, auntie wouldn't have to ask for a loan. In fact, Sun Chuanxiang didn't intend to ask Yang for 3,000 yuan to begin with. 3,000 was merely a buffer, a starting point for negotiations. After all, 1,000 was 2/3 less than 3,000. There's no reason for Yang to refuse to lend her it. Sun Chuanxiang was determined to get the 1,000 yuan today. Yang had to lend her the money whether she wanted to or not. Yang raised an eyebrow and asked with a smile, do you think you're more privileged than others? Huh. Sun Chuanxiang was taken aback. No. Then why should I lend you money? She finished speaking and turned to leave. Sun Chuanxiang grabbed the corner of Yang's clothes, forcing herself to shed some tears and pleading pitifully, Xiaoni, you can't just leave me to suffer. Take pity on auntie, lend me some money, otherwise how can auntie survive? Yang smiled slightly and looked down at Sun Chuanxiang. Funny enough, I do like to watch others suffer. Xiaoni, Sun Chuanxiang laughed dryly, stop joking around, auntie knows you're not that type of person. But I am that type of person. Yang continued, also my mother doesn't have a sister, so stop claiming family relationships here. Sun Chuanxiang was nearly choked with anger, unable to keep her smile. Xiaoni, are you really going to fight with auntie? Yang replied, I already said my mother doesn't have a sister. Sun Chuanxiang dropped her pretense, revealing her true colors and lowered her voice to say, you're just a teenager, while I'm almost 50, I've lived long enough. If you really anger me, there's nothing I won't dare to do. You're an outsider in Beijing with no relatives around. If anything happens to you, there's no one to help you out. Is this a threat? Chapter 116 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _4. I sorry but she really wasn't scared. Yang wasn't one to be easily frightened. Yang casually picked up a bench nearby, looking like she was ready for a fight. Well, it's just too bad, I'm all alone in the world too. Worst comes to worst, we can risk our lives together. A seemingly nonchalant remark had scared Sun Chuanxiang quite a bit. Yang was all alone whereas she had a family to feed, including both sons and daughters. Originally, she just wanted to intimidate Yang, but surprisingly this little bitch wasn't persuaded by any means. Being so unafraid, nobody could even bully her a bit. Sun Chuanxiang was both furious and scared, frightened that Yang might actually resort to violence. After all, she was the one who came to pick a fight this time, so if Yang really fought back, she wouldn't be in the right ground. You're leaving me for dead, you'll regret this. Terrified, Sun Chuanxiang backed away several steps, trying to put on a brave front. What goes around comes around. I will wait for the day when you kneel and beg for my mercy. After saying those words, she ran away in fear. Wait. Yang called out to the retreating figure of Sun Chuanxiang. Sun Chuanxiang shuddered in fear, scared that the bench held by Yang would hit her forehead in the next second. She ran faster than a rabbit. How dared she stop for even a moment? Yang originally intended for Sun Chuanxiang to take away her basket of apples, but she didn't expect Sun Chuanxiang to be such a scaredy cat. So easily frightened. Yang picked up an apple and was about to throw it into the trash when she looked at the charming red apples. She suddenly retracted her hand. This basket of apples must weigh at least 3 or 4 pounds. It's a waste to throw them away. The rotten one is Sun Chuanxiang, not the apples. Forget it. She'll take the apples then. She can use them to make dried apples and apple cider vinegar later. Not only did she teach Sun Chuanxiang a lesson today, but she also got a basket of apples for free. This was not a bad deal. And Yang was in a good mood and hummed a little tune along the way as she delivered the tables and chairs. Ha! A chuckle came from the quiet alley. A tall figure appeared with a black hat covering his features apart from his attractive jawline, a cigarette wedged between his fingers. The little girl has become more and more ruthless. And more impressive. She is like a raw gem, always bringing unexpected surprises. His little follower Wu Darning walked over, curious. Brother Lu, have you taken a fancy to that little girl? Don't get him wrong, that little girl not only has a fiery temper but also looks pretty good. There's probably no one as attractive as her in the whole of Beijing. Is the title little girl what you should call her? The man named Brother Lu looked down at Wu Darning. Just wait, she will be your sister-in-law sooner or later. Sister-in-law? Wu Darning looked up at the man. Brother Lu, are you joking? Over the years, countless young girls had chased after Brother Lu, but he wouldn't even take a look at them. Is he now head over heels for someone? While I'm not around, remember to have someone look after your future sister-in-law. After thinking for a moment, the man chuckled. But then again, I don't think anyone can bully her. Wu Darning's mouth dropped open. It took him a while to react and he quickly set off to catch up with the man. After Sun Chuanxiang went back, the more she thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. What? Why did she waste a basket of apples and still end up getting frustrated? No way. She had to get her revenge. She couldn't believe that she, a woman in her 50s, was inferior to a teenage girl. Sister Chuanxiang. Just then, a familiar voice sounded in front of her stall. Sun Chuanxiang looked up and smiled. Xiaolu? The one who came was not someone else but Lu Wan. Lu Wan used to work with Sun Chuanxiang in the same workshop. Later, when the factory laid off workers, Sun Chuanxiang was already older and decided to retire early. Since then, she had been operating a small stall to make ends meet. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Lu Wan and Sun Chuanxiang got along very well due to their similar characters. Sister Chuanxiang, how's business been these past few days? Don't even mention it, Sun Chuanxiang retorted unhappily. A little bitch came by recently and stole all of my business. Lu Wan's interest was piqued. She used to be envious when Sun Chuanxiang was making money by selling buns a few years ago. She even considered quitting her job in the factory to sell buns together. After hearing that someone stole Sun Chengxiang's business, how could Lu Wan not be excited? Chapter 117 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _5. What's going on? Tell me quickly. Lu Wan suppressed her excitement and sat down on a stool. Just a few months ago, a little temptress with the surname Ni moved to our street. Using her good looks to her advantage, she snatched a lot of my business away. Remember how Hong Hong got arrested recently? She's the one to blame. Sun Chuanxiang shifted all the blame onto Ni Yang. Lu Wan didn't care about who was right or wrong and echoed Sun Chengxiang's words. Such people truly have no shame. Sooner or later they'll meet their downfall. Don't worry, Sister Chuanxiang, once I'm free you'll go and confront that little fox. I want to see how she seduces men. Sun Chuanxiang was deeply moved by Lu Wan's words. Xiaolu, I really can't thank you enough. With Lu Wan's understanding and willingness to listen, Sun Chuanxiang poured out all her grievances. Upon learning that Sun Chuanxiang had been having a hard time recently, Lu Wan couldn't help but feel overjoyed. To prevent Sun Chuanxiang from asking her for a loan, Lu Wan preemptively said, Sister Chuanxiang, given our many years of friendship, I should step in and help you out during such a difficult time, but all my money has recently gone toward helping my little brother buy a house. With Lu Wan having taken such a stand, what else could Sun Chuanxiang say? After delivering the table and chairs to the shop, Ni Yang didn't head straight home. Instead, she made a trip to the agricultural bank, intending to deposit all the money she had earned recently. She now had around 10,000 yuan on her. Not only was it safer to keep the money in the bank, but she could also earn interest. Even though it was Saturday, the bank was not at all crowded. The first reason was that in this era, ordinary workers didn't earn much money and their wages could only cover daily expenses. The second reason was that the banking system of this era was still immature and found it hard to gain people's trust. Ni Yang ended up depositing 19,000 yuan, leaving just over 100 yuan for spending money. 19,000 yuan. Ni Yang looked at the balance in her savings book and calculated silently in her mind. She was now only 7,000 yuan short of buying her own shop. She was now making nearly 300 yuan per day, so in about another month or so, she would be able to buy and renovate her shop. This was great news. The day she would become a fully fledged individual shop owner was just around the corner. With such exciting news, it was undoubtedly a time to celebrate. Autumn had gradually set in. and in autumn, it was only natural to enjoy some warm food. Ni Yang turned her bicycle around and made a trip to the vegetable market, where she bought plenty of vegetables. She also purchased a charcoal hot pot stove. The stove had 2 layers, making it ideal for cooking in a double flavor pot. Hot pot originated from Sichuan and Chongqing, but at this time, not many people ate it. The first reason was that there were no ready-made hot pot mixes to buy. The essence of hot pot lay in the base ingredients, which the average person would struggle to cook well, especially in an era when people were focused on making money, who had the spare time for gourmet cooking. The second reason was that hot pot consumed too much oil. Most ordinary families couldn't even afford meat, let alone oil. After buying the pot, Ni Yang then headed over to a stall selling beef and mutton. "Boss, how much is the beef?" "5 yuan per pound." Ni Yang pointed at the mutton. "And the mutton?" The beef and mutton vendor was a middle-aged man with a chubby face. Seeing that Ni Yang was a young girl who looked like she couldn't afford to buy meat, he answered impatiently, "Mutton is 5.5 yuan per pound. If you can't afford it, stand further away. Don't block my business." People of this era all pursued fatness. The fatness of being overweight. Due to poverty, they couldn't afford to eat meat, so people believed that those who were fat were wealthy and looked dignified when they went out like a leader. Only those who were wealthy could afford to eat meat, and only those who ate meat could become fat. That's why the rich and the minor leaders of this era all had beer bellies. To them, Ni Yang, who was so slender and tall, didn't look like a rich person. Undeterred by the middle-aged man's attitude, Ni Yang moved on to the next stall, and cheerfully pointed to the beef and mutton. "Uncle, I would like a pound of each, please." The vendor at this stall was a friendly, Mediterranean-looking man. The Mediterranean uncle hadn't had any customers all afternoon, so he was surprised when he suddenly got a big order. He cheerfully replied, "Of course, young lady. Wait just a moment." Because beef and mutton were expensive, people who came to buy it usually only bought a few ounces at a time, who would buy a whole pound in one go. Chapter 118 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot 6. Seeing Ni Yang give the bald man 2 big Unity tickets, the middle-aged man instantly regretted so much that his intestines turned green. He slapped himself twice silently. "Blinded by your dog eyes. Blinded by your dog eyes." Ni Yang took the change from the bald man. Her eyes fell on the cow bones on the counter and asked, "Uncle, how much do you sell these cow bones for?" The bald man enthusiastically replied, "The cow bones cost 2 cents for a pound. If you want 111, give them to you for 1.5 cents a pound." Because the cow bones had no meat and people didn't know how to consume them, these bones basically went unsold. Who would have eaten their fill and bought a few bare bones home? But in Ni Yang's eyes, these cow bones were all treasures. Although there was no meat on the cow bones, they were extremely nutritious. The soup made from them was both fragrant and rich, and they even contained bone marrow. They were perfect for making hot pot broth. "I want 10 pounds. Okay." The bald man quickly weighed the beef bones. "A little over 11 pounds, let's call it 10 pounds. "Thank you, uncle." Ni Yang handed the bald man a 1 and 5 yuan note, and reached out to take the beef bones. Passing by the toy shop, Ni Yang purchased a rattle drum and a little rubber ducky for little Ni Yun. Little Ni Yun was now over 2 months old, and it was a very active time for her. When Ni Yang arrived home, Ni Tsuehua was sitting at the front door waiting for Ni Yang while practicing her handwriting. After some practice, Ni Kuihua's handwriting had greatly improved on her initial attempts. She could now write many characters independently, without having to look at the textbook. "Mom, your handwriting is now really beautiful," Ni Yang complimented sincerely. Ni Tsuehua responded with a smile, "That's all thanks to my little teacher over here." Ni Yang said, "It's more that you're smart. If you were a dunce, no matter how good one taught, you wouldn't learn. Students under a teacher could be good or bad." Ni Tsuehua patted Ni Yang's head. All you know is how to please your mother. Speaking of, food is in the pot. Yang, you should go eat." Ni Yang nodded and asked, "Mom, where's my little sister?" "She's sleeping in the back room." "Oh." Funnily enough, just as Ni Yang stepped into the room, little Ni Yun woke up. Now she was gnawing on her white little feet. Seeing Ni Yang come over, she started laughing happily. Yin. Ni Yang went over to pick up little Ni Yun. Even though little Ni Yun couldn't talk yet, she would still gurgle in excitement when she saw her big sister. Ni Yang handed little Ni Yun the rattle drum and the rubber ducky. "Is Yun happy?" Little Ni Yun didn't know how to play with the ducky, but she shook the rattle drum, making it create a ruckus. Ni Tsuehua came in from outside worried. Yang, money is hard for you to earn, why are you spending it carelessly on toys for your sister again? And Yang replied with a smile, buying things for my sister doesn't count as wasting money. And Tsuehua reached out to pick up little Yun, he'll hold her, you go eat your meal quickly. And Yang turned and headed to the kitchen to eat. In the afternoon, Yang went down to the river to retrieve the crayfish trap. The river bank was completely deserted, and not even a herdsboy could be seen. It was unknown why, but every time Yang arrived at the river bank, she would inexplicably think of Chishin. Was it because Chishin had helped her retrieve the crayfish trap for several days in a row? Not long ago, Yang had been able to see Chishin by the river every afternoon. Yet, starting from yesterday he seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth. In such times there were no mobile phones, let alone WeChat or QQ. Once someone lost contact with another, they might never see each other again. Thinking about this, Yang suddenly felt a sense of melancholy. But the very next second, Yang chuckled faintly. He was just a man, what was there to be heartbroken about? A man as ungrateful as a stray dog, good riddance if he left. After returning home, Yang prepared the fish she had gotten and started preparing dinner for the night. The first thing she did was to parboil the beef bones before scooping out the floating scum and starting over to make the soup. Add to it some green onions, ginger, garlic, star anise and cinnamon bark. After bringing it to a rolling boil, turn down the heat and let it simmer for a few minutes, gradually letting the fragrance spread. It somewhat resembled the flavor of the Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles from her past life. However, it was much more fragrant than that of the Lanzhou noodles. While the beef bone soup was simmering on the stove, Yang started preparing the hot pot base. Yang had worked in the catering industry in her previous life, so she knew how to make the sauce base more flavorful and which ingredients paired well with it. In no time the aroma filled the entire courtyard. The smell was mouth-watering. While Yang was preparing the spices, Tsuehua was washing vegetables on the side. Yang bought a lot of vegetables. There was duck's blood, tripe, kelp, beef and lamb, bean sprouts, enoki mushrooms and so on. Of course, no hot pot would be complete without fish balls and shrimp paste. However, pre-made shrimp paste wasn't available at this time, so Yang planned to make it herself and see if she could succeed. The fish and shrimp were just caught from the fish trap today, so there was no cost involved. Quihua's knife skills were impressive. In no time she removed the bones from the shrimp and fish meat and minced them. That night, when Chingue saw the hot and steamy copper pot on the table with a layer of red oil floating on the surface, she couldn't help exclaiming, Yang, are we having hot pot tonight? Yang came out from the back. Yes, Auntie and I were having hot pot tonight. There was a hot pot restaurant in the city of Beijing. Chingue had gone there once with her boss, but because of the high price she never went again. Although it had been a long time since, Chingue would never forget that delicious, spicy and sour taste. She just didn't know if the hot pot Yang made would be as delicious as the one she had last time. When Chingue tasted the food from the hot pot, she was so excited she didn't know what to say. It was so delicious. 100 times better than the one she had in the restaurant before. The boiled beef dipped in the oil sauce prepared by Yang tasted divine. A subtle spiciness and numbness danced on the tip of her tongue, stimulating the taste buds and leaving an unforgettable aftertaste. And with a glass of ice-cold plum juice, it was irresistibly delicious. Chingue picked up a humble-looking meatball, originally thinking that it was just a regular meatball, only to be surprised by its firm texture. One bite and it was smooth and chewy, mouthful of meaty flavor, satisfying and fulfilling, making one wish to swallow even their tongue. Chingue had never tasted such a meat bale before and curiously asked, Yang, what kind of meat bale is this? Yang explained with a smile, this is called shrimp paste, it's made from shrimp meat and starch. Chingue was surprised and asked, you made this shrimp paste yourself? Yang nodded. Amazing. Yang was truly amazing. If Yang were to open a hot pot restaurant, the one in the city would have to close instantly. But Chingue couldn't bother praising Yang anymore, because the hot pot was so delicious that she just wanted to enjoy it fully. Tsuehua picked up a piece of tripe and said, Yang, this tripe is a bit tough to chew. Did it get undercooked? Yang picked up a piece of raw tripe and while demonstrating how to cook it explained, when eating tripe you have to swish it back and forth 7 up 8 down like this. Chapter 119A Slap in the Face. Turns out Yen was not bragging. _1 7 up, 8 down? This so-called 7 up, 8 down, refers to rinsing a piece of tripe 7 times in the hot pot. The whole process takes about 15 seconds. Not only was Enai Tsuehua stunned by this, even Enai Qinggui was taken aback. Because it was their first time learning that tripe could be eaten like this. Was it really cooked just by scalding it a few times? Tripe usually has a very strong smell. Enai Yang placed the scalded tripe on Enai Qihua's plate. "Mom, please have a taste." Enai Tsuehua stared at the tripe in the bowl, hesitated for 2 seconds, then picked it up and put it in her mouth, and began to chew. Her originally cold expression gradually turned into one of astonishment. The tripe not only lacked the expected strong smell, but was crisp and tender, dissolving beautifully in her mouth. It was numbingly spicy, and biting into it released the flavors of sesame and crushed peanuts, whetting her appetite and complementing her meal so well it brought tears to her eyes. Having tasted something so delicious, Enai Tsuehua felt that even if she was asked to ascend to heaven to be an immortal, she might not agree. Seeing Enai Qihua's reaction, Enai Qinggui couldn't resist swallowing. "Yang Yang's mom, how does it taste?" "Delicious." Enai Tsuehua nodded her head in agreement. "Sister Qinggui, you should try it too." Was it really that delicious? Initially resistant Enai Qinggui, seeing Enai Qihua's reaction, immediately picked up a piece of tripe and 7-Up, ate down in the bubbling red oil pot. The flavor was surprisingly good. "Yang, where did you learn this new way of eating? The taste is really good." Enai Qinggui had not even heard of this 7-Up, 8-Down method before. Enai Yang smiled and said, "It was introduced in a gourmet cookbook." Enai Qinggui nodded. "Oh." The boiling red oil in the pot filled the air with smoke, veiling the laughter of the 3 people. Enai Yang, who had not eaten spicy food for a long time, was eating duck's blood while gulping down sour plum soup. It was the first time Enai Yang discovered that Enai Tsuehua and Enai Qinggui could eat so much spicy food. They heartily enjoyed the hot pot meal. In the end, Enai Qinggui took the initiative to clean up, while Enai Tsuehua went to feed and bathe the baby. Enai Yang was in the kitchen preparing Mrs. Mo's meal. The kitchen lights were a bit dim. When Enai Qinggui turned around, she saw Enai Yang bent over focusing on her work. In the dim light, her features seemed extremely delicate, her eyes were clear and radiant like dazzling stars, and her skin was so tender it looked like it could be pinched out water. In terms of attractiveness, she could easily outclass even the most traditionally beautiful girls. Compared to Enai Yang 2 months ago, the Enai Yang now looked 10 times better. Moreover, it was not only Enai Yang who had changed, Enai Qinggui also noticed many changes in herself. The most noticeable changes were to her breasts, teeth, and hair. Her breasts had become much firmer, making her look better in clothes. Her teeth had become whiter. Even though she brushed twice a day, her teeth were never quite white, always giving off a slight yellow tint. But now, every day when she looked in the mirror, she could see her teeth shining. Also her hair, which used to be dry, brittle, and yellowish, had now become black and shiny, so smooth that female colleagues around her were asking her what brand of shampoo she used. Enai Qinggui felt that all these changes were because of the delicious food that Enai Yang cooked. Thinking this in her heart, Enai Qinggui asked out loud. Enai Yang did not expect that Enai Qinggui would be so observant to notice these details. Faced with Enai Qinggui's curiosity, Enai Yang smiled and nodded. "Yes, Auntie Enai, it does have a lot to do with the food we eat every day." Enai Qinggui was amazed and said, Yang, how did you manage to achieve this?" "I've been eating food all my life and I've never known that food can have a beautifying effect." Enai Yang smiled and said, "It mainly depends on eating the right things. Some beauty is inherent and some beauty depends on daily maintenance." Here, Enai Yang pulled out the menu. For example, look at this sour and spicy tender ginger mixed with lettuce. Ginger is known for its rust-removing properties, and lettuce contains fluorine. The combination of these two can effectively whiten teeth. Enai Qinggui was amazed by hearing this. "No wonder my teeth have gotten so much whiter recently. It turns out to be the effect of ginger and lettuce." Yang, how did you know all this?" Enai Yang explained, "Because I am a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, I know a little about the efficacy of plants." Enai Qinggui nodded, and for a moment she felt even more admiration for Enai Yang. Chapter 128 Slap in the Face. Turns out Enai Yen was not bragging. This little girl is really incredible. She's much more outstanding than someone who has lived for over 40 years. Enai Tsuehua is truly blessed to have such a wonderful daughter in this life. Enai Qinggui then asked, Yang, what kind of benefits do the meals you prepare for the old lady have?" As Enai Yang was washing the vegetables, she replied, "Elderly people have a poor appetite, so I prepare some appetizing and easily digestible dishes. Occasionally, one also prepares some dishes that can prevent osteoporosis." The next morning, Enai Yang got up at around 3 o'clock. When she arrived at the snack street as usual, there were already many people waiting in line for her. In order to eat the fragrant noodles earlier, everyone voluntarily helped Yang to set up the tables, chairs and stools. With everyone's help, all the preparations were done in less than 5 minutes. Yang expressed her gratitude with a smile. Someone joked, "Young boss, if you work faster and get the noodles ready sooner, that's the best way to thank us." "That's right, young boss, hurry up, all of us are waiting to eat noodles." Yang didn't waste time and immediately started to prepare the noodles skillfully. Soon, slurping noises filled the air as everyone started to eat their noodles. Enjoying a bite of the sour and refreshing noodles, followed by a sip of sour plum soup, tasted incredibly good. A lot of people were marveling at how the noodles could be so delicious while they were eating. Li Gongqing came a bit late that morning, and it was almost his turn when the noodles were about to sell out. As per usual, Yang cooked 2 bowls of noodles for him. After finishing his meal, Li Gongqing walked over to Yang and handed her a beautifully wrapped box and a red envelope. "Xiaoni, this is for you." Yang didn't reach out to take it and looked at him in surprise. Li Gongqing explained, "This is from our old lady, she really enjoys the meals you prepare." Yang tactfully refused, "You've already paid for the meals, I can't accept this." Even though Yang liked money, she was not greedy. "It's okay," Li Gongqing said with a smile. "The old lady really likes you, and ever since she started eating your food, her health has significantly improved. This is what you deserve. When the old lady asked me to give you this, she repeatedly reminded me that you must accept it. Besides, the old lady always likes to give us tips, so just accept it without feeling any pressure." Everything Li Gongqing said was true, and since the old lady asked him to bring these things, she didn't plan to take them back. Moreover, these things mean nothing to the wealthy Mo family. After saying all that, Li Gongqing was left with no other arguments. Yang had no choice but to accept it. "Then please thank the old lady for me when you go back, Mr. Li." Scratching his head, Li Gongqing said with a smile, "Our old lady always says she should thank you." After all, Yang gave Mrs. Mo a healthier body. Money has a price, but health is priceless. Along with the sour plum soup, Yang earned over 310 yuan today. When she got home, Yang opened the gift box and red envelope for Mrs. Mo while eating. There were 18 unity notes in the red envelope, which amounted to 180 yuan. The gift in the box gave Yang quite a shock. Inside the red velvet box was a flat, patterned pure gold bracelet. It had a significant weight in her hand, at least 30 or 40 grams. At this time, gold was priced at 4.5 yuan per gram. At the current exchange rate of the RMB, this bracelet was worth more than 1,500 yuan. It must be said, the old woman is extremely generous. Giving a gift worth more than 1,000 yuan without a second thought really showed the Mo family's substantial wealth. Just then Tsuehua came out from her room. When she saw the gold bracelet in Yang's hand, she was startled. "Yang, is this gold bracelet real or fake?" At that time, a worker could only buy 1 gram of gold with a month's salary, so gold was a particularly precious commodity. Yang recounted the whole story to Tsuehua. Tsuehua sighed. She couldn't imagine how wealthy the Mo family must be to give away a gold bracelet so casually. "Yang, since the old lady values you so much, you must be even more responsible in the future. Don't let down the old lady's trust and affection for you," Tsuehua instructed. Yang nodded. "Yes mom, don't worry, I will." Chapter 077. A slap in the face. Turns out Yen was not bragging. "To this little girl is really incredible. She's much more outstanding than someone who has lived for over 40 years. Tsuehua is truly blessed to have such a wonderful daughter in this life." Qinghui then asked, Yang, what kind of benefits do the meals you prepare for the old lady have?" As Yang was washing the vegetables, she replied, "Elderly people have a poor appetite, so I prepare some appetizing and easily digestible dishes. Occasionally, one also prepares some dishes that can prevent osteoporosis." The next morning, Yang got up at around 3 o'clock. When she arrived at the snack street as usual, there were already many people waiting in line for her. In order to eat the fragrant noodles earlier, everyone voluntarily helped Yang to set up the tables, chairs and stools. With everyone's help, all the preparations were done in less than 5 minutes. Yang expressed her gratitude with a smile. Someone joked, "Young boss, if you work faster and get the noodles ready sooner, that's the best way to thank us." "That's right, young boss, hurry up, all of us are waiting to eat noodles." Yang didn't waste time and immediately started to prepare the noodles skillfully. Soon, slurping noises filled the air as everyone started to eat their noodles. Enjoying a bite of the sour and refreshing noodles followed by a sip of sour plum soup, tasted incredibly good. A lot of people were marveling at how the noodles could be so delicious while they were eating. Li Gongqing came a bit late that morning, and it was almost his turn when the noodles were about to sell out. As per usual, Anai Yang cooked 2 bowls of noodles for him. After finishing his meal, Li Gongqing walked over to Anai Yang and handed her a beautifully wrapped box and a red envelope. "Xiaoni, this is for you." Anai Yang didn't reach out to take it and looked at him in surprise. Li Gongqing explained, "This is from our old lady, she really enjoys the meals you prepare." Anai Yang tactfully refused, "You've already paid for the meals, I can't accept this." Even though Anai Yang liked money, she was not greedy. "It's okay," Li Gongqing said with a smile, "the old lady really likes you, and ever since she started eating your food, her health has significantly improved. This is what you deserve. When the old lady asked me to give you this, she repeatedly reminded me that you must accept it. Besides, the old lady always likes to give us tips, so just accept it without feeling any pressure." Everything Li Gongqing said was true, and since the old lady asked him to bring these things, she didn't plan to take them back. Moreover, these things mean nothing to the wealthy Mo family. After saying all that, Li Gongqing was left with no other arguments. Anai Yang had no choice but to accept it. "Then please thank the old lady for me when you go back, Mr. Li." Scratching his head, Li Gongqing said with a smile, "Our old lady always says she should thank you." After all, Anai Yang gave Mrs. Mo a healthier body. Money has a price, but health is priceless. Along with the sour plum soup, Anai Yang earned over 310 yuan today. When she got home, Anai Yang opened the gift box and red envelope for Mrs. Mo while eating. There were 18 unity notes in the red envelope, which amounted to 180 yuan. The gift in the box gave Anai Yang quite a shock. Inside the red velvet box was a flat, patterned pure gold bracelet. It had a significant weight in her hand, at least 30 or 40 grams. At this time, gold was priced at 4.5 yuan per gram. At the current exchange rate of the RMB, this bracelet was worth more than 1,500 yuan. It must be said, the old woman is extremely generous. Giving a gift worth more than 1,000 yuan without a second thought really showed the Mo family's substantial wealth. Just then Anai Tsuehua came out from her room. When she saw the gold bracelet in Anai Yang's hand, she was startled. "Yang, is this gold bracelet real or fake?" At that time, a worker could only buy 1 gram of gold with a month's salary, so gold was a particularly precious commodity. Anai Yang recounted the whole story to Anai Tsuehua. Anai Tsuehua sighed. She couldn't imagine how wealthy the Mo family must be to give away a gold bracelet so casually. "Yang, since the old lady values you so much, you must be even more responsible in the future. Don't let down the old lady's trust and affection for you," Anai Tsuehua instructed. Anai Yang nodded. "Yes, Mom, don't worry, I will." Chapter 121. A slap in the face. Turns out Anai Yen was not bragging. 3. With that, Anai Yang handed the bracelet to Anai Tsuehua. "Mom, this bracelet is for you." "One don't want it." Anai Tsuehua refused. "You should keep what the old lady gave you." Anai Yang smiled. "What does it look like for a young girl like me to wear this? Besides, one don't like wearing things on my hand." Anai Tsuehua continued to refuse. "A woman my age wearing a bracelet would invite ridicule. A bracelet like this should be worn by young girls like you." Anai Yang pushed the bracelet into Anai Tsuehua's hand. "Mom, just take it." Seeing Anai Yang insisting, Anai Tsuehua had no choice but to take it. "Then one will keep it for you. When you get married, I will give it back to you as part of your dowry." Anai Yang chuckled. "Mom, just wear it yourself." Anai Tsuehua, not one for showiness, denied. "I won't wear it, I'm keeping it for you." Anai Yang continued. "Anyway, I have already given the bracelet to you. You can do anything you want with it." Anai Tsuehua turned back to her room and hid the bracelet in a concealed spot. In the blink of an eye, nearly a month had passed. Anai Yang's business had been surprisingly good during this time, with a queue of customers waiting for noodles every morning. This provoked such jealousy in Sun Chuanxiang that she wished for Anai Yang to drop dead on the spot. Luckily, curses and voodoo dolls were useless. Otherwise, Anai Yang might have died hundreds of times. Interestingly enough, Qian Jinfeng woke up late because of a cold and didn't prepare breakfast, so she decided to go to the snack street to buy something to eat. From afar, she saw a long queue at one of the stalls. Is this a new breakfast stall? How much money would the boss make from so many customers? As Qian Jinfeng approached through the smoke, she saw a profoundly familiar face. Is this Anai Yang? Yes, those stools, that table, that big bucket, that bicycle. They all certainly belonged to N.I. Yang. Once she was sure she wasn't mistaken, Chen Jinfeng rubbed her eyes and refocused on N.I. Yang. Was N.I. Yang? Indeed, it was N.I. Yang. My goodness. Turns out N.I. Yang hadn't been bluffing. Her business was indeed booming. Isn't that horrifying? Chen Jinfeng counted and found almost 100 people waiting in line. And not only was N.I. Yang selling noodles, but she was also selling drinks. How much money must she be making? Chen Jinfeng instantly became envious. She forced a smile and walked over to a middle-aged woman who was sitting by the roadside eating noodles. Big sister, how much did you pay for this bowl of noodles? The middle-aged woman replied with a smile. Not expensive, it's quite cheap. Only 3 cents a bowl. Lady, if you want to eat, you should get in line quickly. If you queue now, you might still get a bowl. This young stall owner only makes 700 bowls a day, and once they're sold out, that's it. 3 cents a bowl and she can sell 700 bowls a day. After getting the exact answer, Chen Jinfeng began to calculate in her mind how much N.I. Yang could earn in a day. She wouldn't know until she did the math, and once she did, it startled her. N.I. Yang could make 210 yuan a day. That's 6,300 yuan a month. And this was just from selling noodles. She was selling drinks as well. N.I. Yang must be earning at least 9,000 yuan a month. Realizing that the earning could be 9,000 yuan, Chen Jinfeng felt even worse than if she had eaten a lemon. She couldn't stop the bitterness welling up in her heart. She owned a small shop that only made about 100 yuan a day, while N.I. Yang, who had set up just a stand, was making 3 times as much as she was. How frightening was that? Vigorously subduing her astonishment, Chen Jinfeng didn't even bother buying breakfast. She just wanted to rush home and tell all of this to Li Dongliang. Seeing Chen Jinfeng coming back empty-handed, Li Dongliang was somewhat indignant. Didn't you say you were going to buy breakfast? Where's the breakfast? Chen Jinfeng said. Old Li, guess who I saw on the snack street just now? Who? Asked Li Dongliang without even looking up. N.I. Yang. Chen Jinfeng spurted out the 2 words. Unfazed, Li Dongliang said, so what if you saw her? She used to brag about her successful business. How is it? Did she look embarrassed and awkward when she saw you? What could a young girl like her know about doing business? She'll probably go bankrupt within a few days. Caught by Chen Jinfeng now, that young girl won't dare to even lift her head when she comes to their house to place things. Awkward. Why should she feel awkward? Chen Jinfeng bitterly said, her business is doing well. The queue almost reaches the entrance to our store. Chapter 122. A slap in the face. Turns out N.I. Yang was not bragging. _4. No way. Are you running a fever or something? Li Dongliang reached out to feel Chen Jinfeng's forehead. Chen Jinfeng grabbed Li Dongliang's hand. Don't believe me? I'll take you to see for yourself. It wasn't until they arrived at N.I. Yang's stall that Li Dongliang finally opened his eyes in surprise. He even slapped himself twice to see if he was dreaming. Then Chen Jinfeng explained to Li Dongliang how much N.I. Yang was making each day. What? After hearing this, Li Dongliang was totally shocked. She earns 9,000 yuan a month? Are you kidding me? Does she tell you how much she makes daily? Seeing Li Dongliang's disbelief, Chen Jinfeng made a calculation. Pickled fish noodles cost 3 cents per bowl. She sells about 700 bowls a day. Sour plum soup costs 1 cent per cup. She sells about 1,000 cups a day. You can do the math. Li Dongliang immediately began calculating with his fingers, and indeed, the result was no different from what Chen Jinfeng had calculated. At this moment, Li Dongliang was completely deflated. Just like Chen Jinfeng, he was so envious he almost wanted to overturn N.I. Yang's stand. Why did their big store make less money than half of what N.I. Yang earned? That was too bullying. The couple looked downcast as if someone owed them millions. They gave up on buying breakfast because the sourness in their stomachs was too much. They were already filled with sourness. After returning to their shop, the couple didn't even bother to do business and sighed to each other. Around 11 o'clock in the morning, after all her noodles were sold, N.I. Yang brought her tables and stools to Li Dongliang's shop. N.I. Yang still greeted Li Dongliang and Chen Jinfeng warmly as usual. Normally, Li Dongliang would ask smugly, Yang, how was business today? But today, after witnessing N.I. Yang's business with his own eyes, did Li Dongliang still have the mood to poke fun at N.I. Yang? Moreover, every time he saw N.I. Yang's face, he would think about how much money she was making, and his heart would constrict with indigestion. It's so uncomfortable. Envy is a green-eyed monster. N.I. Yang didn't think too much. She just arranged her tables and stools by herself. Just then, Li Wei came down the stairs with his textbooks. When he saw Anai Yang there, he took his books to ask Anai Yang for help. Anai Yang, could you help me with this English question? Anai Yang glanced back. Sure. An English question that seemed difficult to Li Wei was solved by Anai Yang in less than a minute. As it happened often, Li Wei was not surprised but calmly thanked her. Anyway, as long as Anai Yang was just a self-employed worker, she would never be as good as him, so there was nothing to be jealous of. Anai Yang smiled and said, "You're welcome." In the room, Qian Jinfeng nudged Li Dongliang with her elbow, gesturing for him to look out the window. "Old Li, look, that girl Anai Yang is intentionally talking to our Xiao Wei again." Li Dongliang's envious heart finally found some balance. He snorted, "So what if she can make money? Without an education, she'll always be a lower-class person. Our Xiao Wei would never settle for her." No matter how capable Anai Yang was, she still wanted to marry their son. Pitiful. Their family really looked down on Anai Yang. Their son Li Wei was their golden phoenix. What did Anai Yang count for? She wouldn't even qualify as a sparrow. Qian Jinfeng nodded. "Yeah, you're right, old Li. I have to talk to Xiao Wei properly and make sure he doesn't get bewitched by this fox." Anai Yang went to the agricultural bank again today and deposited 7,500 yuan. Together with the previous 19,000, it all added up to 26,500 yuan. That was more than enough to buy a shop. However, Anai Yang planned to keep selling noodles until the end of the month before buying the shop, because there would be renovation costs, hiring workers, and many other expenses. Now that she persisted until the present and could buy a shop, Anai Yang finally breathed a sigh of relief. In the evening, Anai Yang made another table full of delicious food. That night, Qian Jinfeng couldn't sleep. She kept tossing and turning. Why can Anai Yang make so much money in a day? Similarly, Li Dongliang next to her couldn't sleep either. Qian Jinfeng poked Li Dongliang. "Let me ask you. You lend the shop downstairs to Anai Yang for storing her tables and stools. How much do you charge her per month?" 1 yuan. Li Dongliang answered. 1 yuan. Qian Jinfeng exploded. "She makes so much money selling noodles every day, and you only charge her 1 yuan. Chapter 123. A slap in the face. Turns out Anai Yan was not bragging. _5. Li Dongliang said restlessly, "How could one have known she made so much money before?" Qian Jinfeng continued, "No, we should increase her rent." "How much?" Li Dongliang asked next. Qian Jinfeng held up one finger. "I owe yuan?" Li Dongliang asked. "No." Qian Jinfeng shook her head. Li Dongliang incredulously said, "It couldn't be 100, could it?" "Yes." Qian Jinfeng nodded. "It is 100. 100? You know, the rent for their entire shop was just a little over 100. This would mean that Anai Yang was paying their rent. Moreover, Anai Yang was just using some tables and stools. Could she afford 100 yuan? Qian Jinfeng noticed Li Dongliang's concerns. "Doesn't pay? She dare not pay. If she doesn't, I will not let her place things here. If it weren't for placing her goods here, would she be able to earn so much money? I think 100 is too little. In my opinion, it's not unreasonable for Anai Yang to share half of her earnings with us." Li Dongliang nodded. You have a point." Qian Jinfeng was absolutely right. If it weren't for their help, Anai Yang wouldn't have been able to earn so much money. After all, the people Anai Yang should be most grateful to are their family. Qian Jinfeng added, "Don't worry about this, one will talk to her tomorrow morning." Okay. After discussing the matter, the couple went to sleep. The next morning, Qian Jinfeng cheerfully brought up the rent increase to Anai Yang. 100? Did Qian Jinfeng really think money flowed from a river? Such audacity. Anai Yang said with a full smile, "Auntie Qian, there are a few days left till next month. For this month, my rent agreement was settled with Uncle Li. At the beginning of next month we can raise the rent. Don't worry, I won't shortchange you by a cent." Qian Jinfeng did not expect Anai Yang to agree to her request so readily. If she had known, she would have asked for more rent just now. Perhaps Anai Yang also understood that her profits were all thanks to their help. Anai Yang, that foxy creature, seemed to have some sense after all. Qian Jinfeng continued, Yang, let's take advantage of this spare time and sign the agreement for next month. You can also pay next month's rent in advance." Anai Yang smiled and said, "Auntie Qian, let's talk about next month when it comes. One don't have that much money on me right now." Upon hearing this, Qian Jinfeng became displeased. "Your business is doing so well, how could you possibly not have money?" Anai Yang began to complain. No matter how good the business is, there are still costs involved like fish, noodles, oil, labor costs. Each one costs money. Auntie Qian, you are also a businesswoman, you should understand why. Qian Jinfeng added, how much could those things cost? Don't think one don't know, the fish is not expensive at all. Ai Yang swiftly arranged the tables and stools, then said, goodbye, Auntie Qian. We'll talk about the rent next month. She already had an agreement with Li Dongliang for this month's rent, so she wasn't afraid of Qian Jinfeng causing trouble. By next month she would be long gone, leaving Qian Jinfeng frustrated. Having said this, Ai Yang rode her bicycle off into the distance. Qian Jinfeng spit on the ground out of anger. Humph! Little vixen. Ai Yang wouldn't be able to escape, next month was just next month then. Qian Jinfeng thought to herself, should she adjust the rent to 200 yuan next month? After all, they hold Ai Yang's lifeline. As long as they don't allow Ai Yang to place her items, she wouldn't be able to do business. Never mind 200, even if it were 300, Ai Yang would have to pay. With this in mind, Qian Jinfeng felt quite pleased. After hearing about Sun Chengxiang's affairs, Lu Wan had wanted to see the noodle vendor herself. She wanted to see what Sun Chengxiang's so-called little vixen looked like. It was finally Lu Wan's day off. When she arrived, it was nearly 11, but the stall still had a long queue. At this moment, a clear, unmatched female voice sounded through the air, there are only 10 portions of noodle soup left, and the sour plum soup has sold out. There is no need to queue any longer. Come and get a small card from me. Tomorrow morning you can come and get a bowl of noodles for 5 cents cheaper. This voice, why did it sound so familiar? Lu Wan frowned slightly. She strode a few steps forward. Upon seeing the vendor, she was stunned. The person selling the noodles was no one else but Ai Yang. Chapter 124. A slap in the face. Turns out Ai Yang was not bragging. _6. Could this really be Ai Yang, the rustic bumpkin? Why would she be selling noodles here? Lu Wan felt her worldview slowly crumbling. How much did Sun Chengxiang say this bumpkin could earn in a day again? Was it 300? 300. That's 300. She and Ai Daju worked in the factory, toiling to the point of exhaustion, only to earn 40 yuan a month. Together they made 80 yuan a month. But good old bumpkin and Ai Yang could make 2 months' worth of their wage in a day. Lu Wan was practically green with envy. At the same time, she deeply regretted not taking this country buffoon in initially. Maybe all the money this hayseed was making could have been hers. Just the thought of it made her heart ache. But it wasn't too late to realize this now. After all, she was Ai Yang's aunt, her elder. Ai Yang should hand over the money she earned for safekeeping. What on earth does this rustic who knows nothing want with so much money? She probably doesn't even know how to put it aside, much less guard it. What if she loses it? Lu Wan took a deep breath, walked up to Ai Yang with a smile and affectionately greeted, Yang Yang. Ai Yang handed her last bowl of noodles to a customer, looked up, and saw Lu Wan's ingratiating face. A look of indifference crossed Ai Yang's face. Comrade, do I know you? Caught off guard, Lu Wan chuckled, Yang Yang, look at the way you talk. I'm your aunt, how could you not recognize me after just a few days? Ai Yang had thought Sun Chengxiang was already brazen enough. Turns out, Lu Wan put her to shame. My mom is an orphan who doesn't even know who her parents are. Are you claiming to be an ant who sprouted from a rock? Ai Yang retorted. With a thick skin, Lu Wan smiled. Yang Yang, your aunt knows you're still angry about that day. But your uncle only spoke rashly out of anger. Your mother is his biological sister after all. Without a word, Ai Yang began clearing the stove and the bucket, ignoring Lu Wan. Lu Wan immediately started helping, smiling obsequiously. Yang Yang, this strenuous manual labor isn't suitable for a young girl like you. Let your aunt handle it, go have a rest. Put it down. Ai Yang's voice was composed. What? Lu Wan blinked in surprise, her smile slightly forced. If Ai Yang was not rolling in money, she would not stoop so low as to fawn over her. What a disgusting act. Does she think she's something special? I'm asking you to put it down. Ai Yang repeated. Her tone was calm, but carried an undercurrent that cut deep. The hand Lu Wan was using to hold the large iron spoon trembled involuntarily. Why, Yang Yang, why you don't need to be polite with your aunt? I'm not tired. Ai Yang continued. Miss, if you don't put my stuff down, 111 be contacting the police for robbery. There are patrolling officers right over there. Robbery. The word made Lu Wan turn white. It was a critical time with strict law enforcement. As a formal factory worker, even a tiny blemish could get her fired from the factory. Besides, Lu Wan cared a great deal about her reputation. If the police were really summoned here in this great public spectacle, how could she save face? Yang, don't be upset, your aunt will put it down, one will put it down. Lu Wan carefully placed the large iron spoon back into the bucket. Stay away from me. And Yang spoke coldly. Lu Wan immediately stepped back. Why Yang, your uncle didn't mean what happened that day, he regrets it very much after you and your mother left. He was so worried that he couldn't sleep or eat well for several days. Your uncle is, after all, an elder. Can you please let it go? Your aunt is willing to apologize on behalf of your uncle. Lu Wan went on in a humble tone, saying many nice words to Yang, but Yang did not respond at all. Yang, we were wrong, really wrong. Please stop being angry. Even if Yang was highly temperamental, she was only a teenage girl after all. Teenage girls were easily influenced, and maybe she could easily call her aunt with a smile after a while, Lu Wan idealistically thought. After clearing up, Yang finally had time to look at the fawning Lu Wan. A mocking smile played on her lips. When one treat you like a human, for the love of God, don't act like a dog. A dog? Was Yang insulting her? Lu Wan was a bit slow to react. What do you mean? Yang mildly smiled. I'm just asking you to act like a human. Lu Wan was almost spitting with fury, yet she managed to force a smile. Yang, stop joking around. Yang raised an eyebrow. Oh, so being called a dog now affects your understanding of human speech? Stifling her rage, Lu Juanave drew a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. For the sake of money, she could not lose her temper. She mustn't. Having ignored Lu Wan again, Yang started carrying tables and chairs over to Li Dongliang's store. Lu Wan wanted to follow Yang, but she didn't dare. No. She needed a foolproof plan. Perhaps she could start with Tsuehua. That dim-witted creature Tsuehua would be much easier to manipulate than Yang. Yes, that's the way. Thinking about it, Lu Wan seemed to see numerous huge banknotes waving at her. Elated, she turned around to return. As long as she knew Yang was selling noodles here, she wasn't afraid Yang would run off. But for the upcoming matter, she needed Daju to take action. After all, he and Tsuehua were biological siblings. After returning, Lu Wan told Daju everything. Upon hearing this, Daju was shocked. Really? You didn't see it wrong? Is that bitch actually that rich now? Could I have seen it wrong? Lu Wan continued, I even talked to her today, but her words, her tone, it seems like she may not want to acknowledge us. Enraged, Daju spat. I'm her biological uncle. She dares to disavow us. Lu Wan nodded. So let us go to their house tomorrow. That bitch makes a lot of money now, but you're her uncle. Her money should naturally be under your care. Having put on airs in front of Lu Wan for the first time, Daju was quite pleased with himself. Definitely. After all, I'm her uncle. If she doesn't give it to me, who else would she give it to? Hearing his words, Lu Wan narrowed her eyes into a smile, attentively massaging Dazu's arms and legs, serving him well. Daju, who had always been henpecked, was finally able to sit back and reap the rewards. His face was all smiles. Lu Wan continued, I think that bitch must have at least a small 10,000 yuan on her hands by now. You must get it all tomorrow. Our girl Chuanxiang has long wanted new clothes, but they're too expensive in the mall, so one didn't have the heart to buy them. Chapter 125 Tortured to the point where not even dregs remain. _1 Even the cheapest clothes in the mall were over 30 yuan apiece, close to Lu Wan's monthly salary, so how could she afford to buy them? But now it's different, their family has money. They could afford not just one but even 10 items. Early the next morning, Lu Wan woke up Lu Xiangxiang. As the only daughter in the family, Lu Xiangxiang was pampered and loved at home. She responded angrily, Can't you let me sleep in a bit? Are you summoning spirits? Lu Wan laughed, Don't be upset. Get dressed, we are going to your aunt's house. She has an aunt? At this point, Lu Xiangxiang froze, screaming, You woke me up so early and it isn't to go to that rural bumpkin's house, is it? Lu Wan nodded. Mom, you must have a fever. Lu Xiangxiang reached out to touch Lu Wan's forehead. Didn't we already sever ties with that bumpkin? Lu Wan laughed and told her daughter what had happened, instructing, Xiangxiang, when we get to your aunt's house, you must remember to be polite, no more acting disrespectful. Lu Xiangxiang could not believe it. Does that bumpkin Yang really have so much money now? Indeed, Lu Wan nodded. I have seen it with my own eyes. Lu Xiangxiang continued, Mom, does that mean once we have money I can buy lots of beautiful clothes? Yes. Lu Wan added, I'm also planning to buy some furniture for our home, a fridge, an electric fan and such. That's great. Lu Xiangxiang jumped up excitedly, immediately went to her room to change clothes. Lu Xiangxiang quickly changed. She wore a bright red dress which Enai Dazhu had reluctantly bought for her as a birthday gift last year. It cost 39 yuan. Usually Lu Xiangxiang would not wear it, but it was different now. Their family was about to become rich. Besides, she was going to see Enai Yang. Even though that country bumpkin Enai Yang was not educated, she was pretty. Lu Xiangxiang didn't want to lose to Enai Yang. The family of three set off grandly. When they got to the street, Lu Wan said, "Dazhu, why don't we buy some fruit to bring with us?" Dazhu retorted, "Buy fruit? Why waste that money? As that girl's uncle, should she not be buying fruit for me? It's already a great favor for me to visit her." Seeing how Enai Tsuehua begged last time, you can tell she sincerely cares for her brother. After all, a woman leading two children around needs a man, right? Without a doubt, once Enai Tsuehua sees him, she would cry tears of joy. She might even kneel before him. Thinking of this, Enai Dazhu felt even more proud. Lu Xiangxiang agreed, "Dad is right. Why should we buy fruit for her? Are we buttering her up?" The family of three boarded the tram. Lu Wan had already started planning for the future. "Dazhu, this trip is not just about making Enai Tsuehua cough up the money, but also about having that brat Enai Yang take Xiangxiang under her wing when she does business." Upon hearing this, Lu Xiangxiang immediately objected, "I don't want to do dirty and tiring work with that bumpkin. It's tiring, not to mention embarrassing." Lu Wan laughed, "Don't worry Xiangxiang, Mom's not asking you to work. You just need to handle the money behind that brat. That brat hasn't even finished junior high, can she manage money? She makes 300 yuan a day and you just have to hand over 200 yuan to your dad and me, and save the remaining 100 yuan for yourself to spend however you want." Upon hearing this, Lu Xiangxiang's eyes lit up, and she nodded in immediate agreement. "Okay Mom, I will listen to you. That's 300 yuan. My God. She had never seen that much money before. With money she could buy not only clothes but also perfume, snowflake cream. She wants to completely surpass that country bumpkin Enai Yang. Since they did not know Enai Kuihua's exact location, it took the family of three all the morning to find Jinghua village. Bang bang bang. Enai Yang was washing vegetables in the courtyard when she heard the knocking on the door. Enai Tsuehua ran to answer it. As soon as she opened the door, Enai Tsuehua was stunned. Standing at the door were Enai Dazhu and his family. Chapter 126, Abuse to the point where there is nothing left. _2. Tsuehua. Auntie. Lu Wan and Lu Xiangxiang greeted with smiles all over their faces. Lu Wan looked at Enai Tsuehua, jealousy oozing from the depth of her eyes. Where was the pitiful figure Enai Tsuehua posed 3 months ago? She was dressed in the latest batwing blouse from the mall, flared trousers made of good quality fabric, and the most fashionable leather high-heeled shoes. Just her outfit alone would cost at least 100 yuan. That's her 3 months' salary. How could a country bumpkin dress like this? Isn't that just wasting money? Lu Wan was extremely upset. If Lu Wan were to see Enai Kuihua's golden bracelet, she would probably die of jealousy on the spot. Enai Dazhu looked at Enai Tsuehua and reprimanded unhappily, standing at the door like a post. "Can't you see your brother is here?" Could it be that Enai Tsuehua was so overjoyed that her brother showed up and became foolish? Enai Tsuehua glanced at Enai Dazhu and his family. Her face didn't show any excitement Dazhu had expected. She knew Enai Dazhu was here only because now he had seen that her daughter was capable and could make money. Since the day Enai Dazhu chased Enai Tsuehua from the family courtyard, she had been clearly aware of their vile faces. This time she won't let them drag Enai Yang down. Enai Tsuehua coldly responded, "I'm just an unwanted orphan, where did brother come from? Comrades, you've got the wrong person, haven't you?" With that, Enai Tsuehua slammed the door shut, leaving behind Enai Dazhu and his family dumbfounded. What just happened? How did Enai Tsuehua suddenly become so defiant? Especially Enai Dazhu, whose face was twisted in anger. This is outrageous. Now Enai Tsuehua even dares to treat her own brother like this. After taking the first assertive action and shutting the door, Enai Tsuehua took a deep breath. She was a little nervous. At this moment, Enai Dazhu and Lu Wan's angry voices and complaints came from outside the door. "Look at such people, now that she's well off she doesn't recognize us poor relatives. Open the door. Enai Tsuehua, open the door for me. How can there be such a heartless person in the world?" Hearing the noise, Enai Yang quickly dropped his vegetables and went to Enai Kuihua's side. "Mom, what happened?" Enai Chingure, who was resting inside, came out too. Enai Tsuehua simply explained the situation. Enai Chingure angrily said, How can there be such shameless people in the world? I'll show them. With that, Anai Chingwei picked up the giant broom leaning beside and walked to the courtyard door. Anai Chingwei flung the door open and swung the broom around, yelling, "How dare you bullies come to my face in broad daylight? Do you think it's easy to bully a widow like me? Don't be fooled by Anai Chengwei's courteous appearance. When she gets mad, even 10 of you wouldn't stand a chance against her." Anai Daju and Lu Wan didn't have time to dodge and were hit by the broom several times. This broom, which has swept not only the ground but also the orchard, didn't smell good. The noise was loud and drew a crowd of villagers. Lu Wan was scared. She quickly tried to defuse the situation. "Sister, you're mistaken, we're here to see Anai Tsuehua. This is my husband Anai Daju, he's Anai Kuihua's brother." "Bah! You have no shame." Anai Chingwei spat on the ground and stood with hands on hips. "Everyone in Jinghua village knows Tsuehua is an orphan. When did she get a brother? Don't think that just because Tsuehua just moved here, you can bully her because she's an orphan. If you want to bully Kuihua's family, you 3 bastards have to step over my body first." Lu Wan, who prided herself on being more cultured, couldn't out-argue Anai Chingwei. She could only loudly say, "Sister, let's be reasonable, my husband really is Anai Kuihua's brother. Anai Tsuehua is such an ungrateful person. She enjoys succulent food at home and ignores her brother from birth family. Even a poor relative is a relative." At these words, murmurs started amongst the villagers. If that's the case, then Anai Tsuehua was really heartless. Like the saying goes, don't forget your roots when you prosper. Every family has a few poor relatives, but how could she not recognize them? She couldn't let these people continue this misunderstanding. Anai Tsuehua braced herself and stepped forward. "He's not my brother. I've been an unwanted orphan since childhood. He's merely a person who grew up in the same village. Now they see Yang Yang is doing well, they're eager to attach themselves and pretend to be relatives. It's hard to even drive them away." Chapter 127, Abused to the point where there is nothing left. 3. Why does it sound so familiar? Anai Yang raised her eyebrows slightly, then recalled, these were the words from 3 months ago, when they went to Anai Daz's house. Lu Wan used them to humiliate them. It seems that mother has really grown up. Lu Wan also sensed that something was wrong because after all, these words came out of her mouth. Before Anai Yang could react, she was pulled by Anai Tsuehua by the wrist and she loudly shouted, "People say that a nephew resembles his uncle. Can all of you here tell me how does our Yang Yang look like this Anai Daju? Indeed, she does not look like him at all. Yang Yang and her mother are so good-looking, this Anai Daju doesn't even come close to half of their beauty. And their daughter, even if she's dressed in dragon robes, she's not fit to be a prince, such a disgrace." Lu Wan was almost infuriated to death, her eyes reddening. She said, "Anai Tsuehua, don't forget your conscience. If you are not the sister of Daju, how can you have the surname Anai? Not only do you have this surname, you even gave your daughter the same surname as our Daju. Now you even can't acknowledge your own brother. How are you qualified to let your daughter bear the same surname as our Daju?" Anai Chingwei burst into laughter and shouted, "My mother also has the surname Anai. Does that mean my mother is also your relative? The majority of people in our Jinghua village are surnamed Anai. Does that mean all of us surnamed Anai took the surname of your man? I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen people as shameless as you. Right? Is it possible that all people in the world surnamed Anai follow him to be surnamed Anai? Shameless. So shameless indeed." Listening to the surrounding ridiculing, Anai Daju was so angry that his whole body was trembling. "How dare you, Anai Tsuehua? You just started to prosper and you have already started turning your back on us. Do you even respect your big brother anymore? Anai Tsuehua, it looks like you're asking for it." Anai Daju walked directly to Anai Kuihua's side, rolled up his sleeves and was about to hit her. After all, Anai Tsuehua was a woman. How could she stand a chance against the strong and sturdy Anai Daju? Someone is hitting others. Someone is hitting others. Anai Chingwei signaled Anai Tsuehua with his eyes, then suddenly sat on the ground and began shouting, "A rogue has come to our Jinghua village to hit people." Anai Tsuehua quickly caught on and followed suit by sitting on the ground, starting to make a fuss. "Help! Someone's killing me." The two of them played off each other, totally dumbfounding Anai Daju. He hasn't started attacking yet, and these two women are already sitting on the ground? What's the meaning of this? Are they playing dirty? They are actually playing dirty. Have they no shame? Do they really think I wouldn't dare to do something? Quickly. Let's go quickly. There's a bad guy bullying Sister Anai Yang. Gooden and Guobao led a group of small companions running this way. "Sister Anai Yang, don't be afraid. We're here to protect you. Charge." Defeat the little devils. Enai Daju was about to make a move, just when a bunch of little bastards swarmed into the yard, armed with weapons in their hands, and started hitting Enai Dazu's family indiscriminately. Those with rocks were throwing rocks. Those with sticks were holding sticks. Some even simply went straight to bite them. Things happened so quickly, the scene was chaotic for a moment. Even if Enai Dazu's family has the strength, they can't tackle so many of these little bastards. Enai Daju was beaten up with a bruised nose and swollen face. His eyes could not even be opened. Lu Wan was also beaten up and in a complete mess. Even Lu Xiangxiang was heavily beaten, and her carefully braided long hair was filled with cockleburr. Kill you? Kill you bad guys. Let you bully sister Enai Yang. Yang Guobao and Guden directly climbed onto Enai Daju. Kill the little devils. A bunch of adults stood aside, none of them seemed to want to stop them. Guden's grandmother even stood on the side and cheered Guden on. Enai Yang has been in Jianghu village for so long, and has helped many of us. A month ago she got hives and couldn't sleep at night due to the itching. Enai Yang cured it with a prescription of herbal medicine and did not even charge a penny. Enai Tsuehua is also a very honest and down-to-earth person. Both of them are good people, they can't be bullied by a group of shameless people. Looking at the scene before her, Enai Yang's nose suddenly turned sour, and she almost cried. Mu Jinbao, Old Lady Mu and Enai Dazu's family showed her the ugliest side of human nature, while the villagers and children of Jinghua village showed her the kindest side of human nature. Just like this world, there is night and there is also day. Seeing the situation turn against him, Enai Daju quickly took his wife and child and fled in disgrace. Chapter 128 Abused to the point where not even dregs are left. _4. But these little rascals had no intention of letting them go easily, continuing to chase after them with rocks in their hands. Yang Guobao, like a little military strategist, walked up to Guden. Guden, it's not wise to chase a desperate enemy. One Guden, holding the last stone in his hand, aimed at Enai Dazu's head, and threw it while yelling, "Bastard! If you dare to bully Sister Enai Yang again, it'll make your head bloom." Enai Dazu's head instantly swelled up with a lump. It was thanks to everyone today that Enai Daju and his gang had to sneak away with their tails between their legs. Enai Yang, not an ungrateful person, immediately pulled Enai Tsuehua to express her gratitude. "No need to thank us, you and your daughter are now part of Jinghua village. We actually didn't do much. It was mainly thanks to the children." Upon hearing this, Guden, Guobao and the other children felt shy. Protecting Sister Enai Yang is our responsibility. We are all Sister Enai Yang's little protectors. Right? We are all little protectors. Slowly people dispersed and the children ran off. Enai Yang watched everyone's retreating figures, her eyes full of determination. She is the kind to return even a small favor with great kindness. She would definitely find a way to repay everyone for today's events. One shouldn't be ungrateful in life. Enai Yang turned to Enai Chingay, "And Enai, thank you for today." "Alt. There's no need for thanks." Enai Chingue continued, Yang and Enai scared you just now, didn't she?" Thinking of her own shrewish behavior earlier, Enai Chingue felt somewhat embarrassed. Enai Chingue used to be truly gentle in fact. Ever since her husband's car accident, she had changed. As the saying goes, a widow's doorstep is much trodden. Without a gritty personality, she couldn't have protected herself. "No, Aunt Enai, you were very brave." Today's Enai Chingue really impressed Enai Yang. Because sometimes to deal with evil people you should be like Enai Chingue, fight evil with evil. "Mom, you were great today too." Enai Yang turned and looked at Enai Tsuehua. Enai Tsuehua shyly replied, "Really? Yang? Emamicham." Enai Yang nodded. Enai Tsuehua continued, "Don't worry, Yang. You'll keep being strong so you don't have to worry." The three members of the Enai Daju family who came to Jinghua village not only didn't benefit but ended up feeling bitter for having been beaten. Unfortunately, they had no leg to stand on. Although Enai Daju is Enai Quihua's brother, they do not have a blood relationship, and Enai Quihua's household registration has also been transferred out. Their relationship was not legally recognized at all. Moreover, they brought this beating upon themselves. Both Enai Daju and Lu Wan were fine with just some minor scrapes. Applying some medicine and resting for a few days would do the trick. But Lu Xiangxiang was a different story. Her long hair was full of burdock, and couldn't be removed no matter how hard she tried. Lacking any alternatives, they could only cut her hair short. Lu Xiangxiang had spent 4 whole years growing her beautiful long hair. Losing it in this way would definitely look awful. The crying Lu Xiangxiang was on the verge of fainting as she pounded and slapped Enai Daju and Lu Wan. "I don't want to cut my hair. One don't want to cut my hair. It's all your fault. If you hadn't gone to find that country bumpkin, would I be in this state? Lu Wan, heartbroken, soothed her. Xiang, don't cry. Mom will buy you a beautiful hat. As long as your nourishment is in order, your hair will grow back soon. I don't want, and Daju interjected. Xiang, don't worry. Dad will definitely avenge you. You dare to speak. Lu Wan slapped Daz's face, angrily berating him. You're the most useless. You couldn't even beat a few kids. If it weren't for you, would Xiang be like this? Why do I have to suffer such misfortune? To be with you, such a jinx? And Daju, adding insult to his injuries, took a long while to respond. One, listen to me, I really have a way to take down that bitch Yang this time and make her beg us. Lu Wan frowned slightly. Go on. And Daju then whispered a few words into Lu Wan's ear. Lu Wan nodded, finally smiling again. Alright, I'll go find Sister Chuanxiang tomorrow. The next day, Lu Wan went to the morning market early. Chapter 129, tortured to the point where not even dregs remain. _5. To avoid the sight of Yang, which gave her an uncomfortable lump in her chest, Lu Wan purposely took a detour to Sun Chengxiang's place. She took out 30 cents. Sister Chuanxiang, I'll have a bowl of noodles, please? While picking up the coins from the table, Sun Chuanxiang feigned reluctance. Xiaolu, we are like real sisters. How can one possibly take money from you? As her words fell, she suddenly looked surprised. Xiaolu, what happened to your face? Did you have a fight with your husband Daju? Lu Wan managed to squeeze a small smile. It's nothing, just hit my face on the door. Oh. Sun Chuanxiang nodded knowingly, her expression filled with implications. Was Lu Wan trying to fool a fool? Could hitting her face make it look like that? She must have certainly behaved outrageously, and that's why Daju punched her. Sun Chuanxiang went to make a bowl of noodles for Lu Wan. While eating, Lu Wan asked, Sister Chuanxiang, which organization did you rent this stall from? Sun Chuanxiang chuckled. Why? Xiaolu, are you thinking of starting a business? Lu Wan responded, I don't have the talent for business. I am just asking for my sister-in-law whose younger sibling doesn't have a job, and she wants to give it a try. Oh. Sun Chuanxiang nodded and told Lu Wan the place where she rented her stall. Immediately after finishing her noodles, Lu Wan rushed to the lease office. When she met the person in charge, she said, Hello, I would like to rent a stall for my business. The woman in charge, a middle-aged lady, replied, I'm sorry, comrade, all our stalls have already been rented out. We have no vacancies. No vacancies left. This is great. Lu Wan then took out a stack of money and eagerly said, One would like to rent the one Yang has at 3 times the price. She was going to make it impossible for Yang to run her business. Yang would come begging to her. 10 times the price? The woman pondered for a moment and checked the lease contract. She saw Yang's contract was about to expire in 2 days, so she said, That stall is currently 25 yuan per month. If you are willing to pay triple the price, it will be 75 yuan per month. And we require a deposit equal to 3 months' rent. So, you need to pay an advance of 300 yuan. What's 300 yuan? Yang could earn that in 1 day. Once they rented that stall, Yang would have to pay not just 300 yuan, but even 3,000 yuan if needed. Upon hearing that, Lu Wan was overjoyed. So, you mean you would rent it out to me? The woman continued, One can rent it out but only from the beginning of next month. This month's contract hadn't expired yet. Lu Wan laughed and said, That's fine, let's sign the contract now. Let Yang enjoy herself for only 2 more days as it was almost next month anyway. Lu Wan handed over all her savings, 300 yuan, to cover the fee for renting the stall. On the way home, Lu Wan felt like she was walking on air. She could already picture all the money waving at her. The instant she arrived home, her husband Daju anxiously asked, How did it go? Did you get it done? Done. It's done. Lu Wan nodded eagerly. Lu Xiangxiang walked over and asked, Mom, Dad, can you avenge me now? Yes. Lu Xiangxiang went on, Then I will cut Yang's hair off completely. I want her to kneel and apologize to me. Every time she thought of her beautiful long hair, Lu Xiangxiang wished she could bite Yang to death. Lu Wan laughed, Just wait, in 2 days Yang will be begging us. Then we will show her how it feels. The money had been paid, the contract had been signed, and now the stall was theirs. If Yang wanted to do business, she had to beg them. Lu Xiangxiang asked next, Can I still go there to collect money? Yes, of course. Lu Wan boasted, All the money that wicked girl makes will be yours. While Ni Daz's family was dreaming of getting rich, Ni Yang went to the tram station after closing her stall for the day. At the station, Ni Tsuehua was already there with her child, waiting expectantly. Yang, over here. Ni Yang parked her bicycle beside Ni Tsuehua. Mom, get on. I'm taking you to see our shop. Okay. Ni Tsuehua got on, holding her child, with a smile that never left her face. This was probably the most joyful day Ni Tsuehua had had in a long time. Chapter 130 Abused to the point where not even dregs are left. _6. Unlike her first time in the streets, Ni Qihua's mental state had undergone significant changes. Her transformation involved not just her clothes, but also her manners and deportitude. If not told otherwise, no one would have guessed that just over 3 months ago, she was an illiterate rural woman. The location where Ni Yang bought her shop was excellent, located in a bustling urban area, surrounded by schools, libraries, and a community. For a moment, Ni Yang seemed to glimpse through the present and into the future's prosperity. Although her current shop only cost her 25,100 yuan, in 2 to 3 years, its price would definitely shoot up by 10, 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 times more. Therefore, she had to take advantage of the present, when housing prices have yet to rise, and buy several more properties to keep. If one day she doesn't want to do business anymore, she can just sit at home and collect rent. By then, she'd probably tire out from collecting all the rent. Ni Yang took out the key and opened the door to the shop. Inside the shop was bare without any decorations. It was over 50 square meters, excluding the kitchen and bathroom. Ni Yang roughly calculated and noted that if she put normal 2-person tables inside, she could fit at least 20. Ni Tsuehua, holding her child, stood in the middle of the shop and incredulously said, Yang, is this shop really ours now? The echo of her voice bounced around the empty shop. Ni Yang nodded, of course it's ours. Look, this is the property deed. Ni Tsuehua took the deed, her excited eyes reddening. She was not dreaming. She really wasn't dreaming. Don't cry, Mom. Ni Yang reached out to wipe the tear stains on Ni Qihua's face. Our good days are just beginning. Ni Yang's career was also just starting. The bright future was still ahead. Ni Tsuehua nodded. To celebrate the purchase of the shop, Ni Yang took Ni Tsuehua to the vegetable market to buy more ingredients for a delicious dinner. The Mediterranean vendor who sold beef and lamb already recognized Ni Yang. Xiaoni, what would you like today? Ni Yang smiled and said, the usual. All right then. The Mediterranean vendor quickly weighed the meat, then asked, Xiaoni, is this woman your mother? Yes. Ni Yang nodded. The Mediterranean vendor was inwardly amazed. No wonder Ni Yang was so beautiful. Her mother wasn't an ordinary person. From her clothes and demeanor, she was definitely from a well-educated background. As it was now autumn, Ni Yang decided to take Ni Tsuehua to the mall after leaving the vegetable market, planning to buy some clothes for autumn and winter. Unlike their first trip, because both mother and daughter were now impeccably dressed, the salespeople were much more enthusiastic and flocked around them. Again, this made Ni Tsuehua realize the importance of money and status. Yang, hold your sister for a moment. I need to use the restroom. Ni Tsuehua handed the child to Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled and said, Mom, let me accompany you. Ni Tsuehua declined, no need, I'm not a child. I can go on my own. She was no longer the timid, illiterate and weak Ni Tsuehua from before. Knowing that her mother's transformation over this period of time was quite apparent, Ni Yang wasn't worried. Then go ahead, I'll wait for you here. Cough, cough, cough. Just as she came out of the restroom, Ni Tsuehua heard a severe coughing sound. Ni Tsuehua looked to the side and saw an elderly woman crouched by a trash can, coughing painfully. The old woman was coughing so hard her eyes turned red, her face pale, looking like she could faint at any moment. Madam, are you all right? Ni Tsuehua, who had never experienced maternal love as a child, couldn't bear to see the elderly woman alone and in distress, so she asked. Between coughs, the old woman said, I'm fine. She didn't know what was wrong. Despite taking medication, her coughing had only worsened recently. Ni Tsuehua helped the old woman up. Let me help you sit over there for a bit? Thank you, young lady. As the elderly woman turned to look at Ni Tsuehua, her pupils constricted. Her grip on Ni Qihua's hand unconsciously tightened significantly. Was she seeing things? Child, suppressing her cough, the old woman asked with a trembling voice, where are you from? Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, my family is from Yinjing City. Yinjing and Guangguan are thousands of kilometers apart. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.